no team wants to go through that gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, EU was pretty crazy earlier as well. That one had me getting super excited for the games on NA today. All 5 games were just so action-packed. I mean, Game 5 featured a solo clutch to actually qualify into the grand finals. I mean, what more could you possibly ask for? NA, I'm looking at you. I want us to one-up that.
Viv, today in this group, it could be possible, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring up this lobby list. This one is stacked. There are so many trios we're going to be seeing here compete. Now, kind of, take a glance here at just some of the names on your screen, but more so than that, we want to just put some numbers to kind of like what we're seeing on screen. Like, obviously, we saw like CLIX is in this lobby. But what does it look like? Well, why don't we bring up some of these numbers, starting with the amount of total FNCS finals that will be competing here today. That total number is going to shock you. It's 398. Sure. 398. I don't even... Is this a grand finals, Kelly?
Yeah, I know, especially comparatively to what we had from Group 1 from North American Central, which just had 288 FNCS finals appearances. That's a pretty big jump up, but I'm obviously looking to those FNCS wins as well, 21 wins. But my favorite stat out of all of this, Vivid, is how many regions are represented. All the trios that we have here competing today have won from so many different regions, and Muzz takes most of those. But still, I love that we're getting a little bit of a global taste right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's super crazy, right? Obviously, the group as a whole, super stacked, more so than groups 1 and 3. But I keep looking at some of these trios, more specifically, Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, CLIX, Higgs, Yamzo, Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, and then Phaser, PHN, and King. Those 4 trios, out of the 390 FNCS finals appearances, they have 211 of them. That is more than half. So as stacked as this group is, it is very top heavy.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, Viv, don't forget, there was also a number there at the bottom. No FNCS finals was 53. So like, yeah, we have a really high end, but we also have a ton of trios who are looking to make their first time grand finals appearances. This is going to be a fantastic day of Fortnite. Let's talk about some of these trios, okay? Obviously, you mentioned a name there, Kanata, right? Paired up with Rapid and Bolts. So let's continue kind of this trend of breaking down some of the information, right? So let's start at the top. These guys, as a trio, have 2 FNCS titles, 48 finals appearances, and Major 1, they came in 6th, and in the play-in, they came in 2nd. I mean, I feel like, Kelly, we talk about Kanata so much because he's someone who has not missed a grand finals. So I feel like that trend has got to continue. Like, the consistency he has to appear at a grand finals is, like, insane.
I think that Epic would just have to shut down FNCS if Kanata didn't make it into a finals. What else would we do?
And I'll do it.
Honestly, with what we've seen from them recently, a lot of people not only think that they're going to make it into the finals, but a lot of people think that this is the team to win it all during the grand finals next week. They've had such a good performance, and we saw it in Major 1. They got 6th place, a pretty good performance, although that wasn't that ticket that they wanted into the Global Championships. Major 2, they actually swap out Rapid with Sphinx. They give that a shot. They get 7th place, but then they bring Rapid back in. And speaking about being brought back in, I really feel like the Bolts that we saw from Major 1 is very different than the Bolts that we're seeing right now, Vivid. He is locked in, he is ready, and he's willing to prove himself finally in this year.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, listen, Kanata's got a big week ahead of him. You're talking about maintaining that FNCS finals appearances record, right? Making it to every single one. He's got to do that here today, whether that be through a win or through consistency. But then he's also got to go ahead and do it next weekend as well, qualify to globals to make sure that he finds himself there. And I mean, listen, got to give a quick shout out to Dig and Aussie Antics for kind of making moves this major to make sure that we see content around some of the Dig players. Of course, Kanata being on Dignitas actually caught a little bit of the content that they were pushing out earlier today, where Kanata actually was on stream kind of showing who he thought was going to go ahead and get a win today versus who was going to qualify through consistency. And he actually put his trio as a winning trio, going to get a victory royale today. So I'm excited to see what they do.
I mean, yeah, this is Kanata. It's all good. I'm not even a little stressed. Not even a little. Can you tell? Let's talk about more trios, though. Another trio we're seeing compete today. It's CLIX, it's Yamzo, it's Higgs. Obviously, if you've been following, there was a little bit of 4th place curse. Then CLIX broke it, and now, here we are once again looking to make it to the grand finals, and of course to take that as far as the global championship. I mean, I feel like this is his time, right, Kelly? This has got to be the time that CLIX wins a grand finals, wins a major, gets his title, and then we just go on to globals, right? This is what I wrote in the script, in case you didn't know.
You know, Zeke, you're not the only one saying that. A lot of people, a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTubers are saying that this is CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo's tournament to win. And more onto that, it is the addition that this isn't just their tournament to win, that if they lose, that they, you know, are going to get pounded on, that they're going to be regarded as playing like below their standard. And I think that it's, and maybe Vivid, if you have a different opinion, let me know, but I think it's a little bit interesting that Peterbot's trio in Major 1, after the continuous wins that we saw from them in the Div Cups and the performance evaluations, and how everyone thought that it was going to be like, you know, their tournament, no one can beat them, they were not held on the same regard as CLIX's trio, who have not won a single FNCS title, and then they still didn't win and still were not regarded so heavily. And I have to wonder, just the pressure that is put onto CLIX's trio, I think is a bit unbalanced compared to other trios that are even arguably better, just because he's the biggest streamer.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the sentiment around that is that right now, currently, if you take a look at the year as a whole for NA Central, right, Acorn's trio, Peterbot's trio, and then CLIX's trio, they look like the three best trios on the region right now, without a doubt. And the reason why everybody's saying, oh, they need to win this one, this is their best chance at winning, well, it's because those other two top three trios that I just named, we all know this, they're contesting each other, right? And we all know, historically speaking, if you're contested in the grand finals, your chance of even breaking into the top 10 alone is so low. So CLIX, if they're contested, they've got to take advantage. They've got to win this FNCS.
Okay, all right, let's shift gears here. Obviously, we're looking to try and qualify for globals. Let's talk about someone who has visual braids and Minish. They qualified back in Major 2, and there's a little bit of a contestation situation happening at the Resistance base. More on that in a second. Talk to me about these guys already, though, because, again, they've qualified, right? So we're coming in, we ain't got nothing to lose.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to be disregarding this trio as a trio that didn't deserve their spot, and I completely disagree with them, especially if you just watch the most recent Performance Evaluation Cup, where they walked away as the winners of Game 2, and just how smart they were playing the low to kind of mid-ground levels really impressed me as a trio. They just knew exactly when to go on the aggressive, knew when to pull back. So many trios stick to the front of zone and try and go on the aggression from low ground there, but they just played it so much more patiently than other trios, and then eventually, when it did come down to the heel off, because of the way they played, they were so prepared for that. And I think that this is something that we're going to see again today and probably next weekend during the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the trios, you know, straight up their performances in past FNCSs, I mean, Brazen and Menace, 4th place last season, that was their best finish. Visuals himself has not placed top 10 in FNCS since Chapter 2, right? So they're not normally found in that top 10, but that's okay. That breakout major that kind of happened last major, they've got to go ahead and follow it up this major, though, in my opinion, right? They got to place well because, you know, all eyes are kind of set towards globals at this point if you are qualified, and to go ahead and come out and make a statement and make sure, hey, listen, I'm a team that's good. I'm going to be good at globals. You got to do it in major number 3.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about the other side of that coin then. Who are they being contested by? It's Muzz, it's Shadow, it's Sphinx. So I like that Kelly kind of highlighted Sphinx was originally, right, back with Kanata and Rapids, but now we're up against with Muzz and Shadow, and this is the same Shadow that paired up with Carbon Tyler at one point, right? So this is kind of a new trio, but like on paper and like I guess like individually, they are such powerhouses. Like this has to be good, right? Like this just has to be good.
100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx are actually going to be landing over in Resistance space in the northwest corner. What I like about this trio, though, is that this is one of the newer trios we've seen. A lot of trios, actually, for Major 3 have had some competitions with each other throughout the previous majors, but Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx are a relatively greener trio than what we've seen from the other people competing here today and tomorrow. What I love from them, though, is just how smart all of them are and how much solo potential they have, whether it's Muzz, Sphinx, or Shadow, put into the right position in the end game as a solo player, they can easily clutch out so many solo points.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And, you know, like Kelly kind of already mentioned, this is one of those trios kind of forming in major number 3, the last chance to actually qualify for the globals. We kind of mentioned all the changes that would probably happen prior to this major, just because this is the last chance. Only 2 spots available to go ahead and qualify to globals. But hey, listen, if there's anything new, right, Muzz is always so good at picking up new things, new trio, new seasons. He's good at it all.
Muzz, the GOAT. He's my GOAT. He's my favorite of all. All right, why don't we talk about my next favorite? It's our casters, Monster D Phase, Jacob PR. What are you?
Thank you, Zeke, and that's right. We are here. Group 2 might be the best of the best here showing up, Jacob. Obviously, we're excited for the weekend. We're going to have a lot of Fortnite in front of us.
No, definitely. There's over 5-6 contested fights right out of the gates. And one thing that we noted last week is when a team wins a game, their spot opens up. So I want to see if any of these teams, they switch up their drop spot or stand their ground and try to defend it overall.
That's right. And then you saw the stats there showing us how much of a stacked lobby we're going to be looking forward to. So the competition's high here, Zeke. We're ready for game number 1. What else you got for us?
Well, Monster Face, first off, you look amazing. Second off, Vivid already kind of ruined the surprise a little bit. And when I saw this myself, I thought, what the heck is this trio doing here? What are you doing here? It's King, it's Phaser, it's PHZin coming on over from Brazil, and these guys already have a qualifying spot. They already are in at Globals. And so now we gotta wonder, Kelly, wait a minute, whoa, stay over there, no, don't come over here to mess with us and our lobbies. What are you doing here?
You know, I love the move that they made. When we saw, last year in Major 3, so many European players moved their way over to North America to prove that it was an easier region so that they could punch their ticket easier to the global championships. But that's not what we're seeing from Phaser, PHZen, and King here. No, I think that they're actually going into a harder region to get better practice for those global championships. I don't think that this is necessarily like, oh, they already punched their ticket, they're just here to have fun. I think that this is them actually like putting, the pedal to the metal and putting as much practice as they potentially could get what we would see out of a global championships of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what it's all about, right? They're just here for that practice. If we take a look at the Globals landscape, right? If we take a look towards Invitational, Globals in 2023, Globals in 2024, there were only 3 instances of a minor region breaking into the top 10 at those events. And actually, PHN being one of those instances back at Invitational, where he clutched up a 5th place there, right? So he kind of wants to jump back into that. He wants to feel that again. And I think moving to NA to go ahead and gain that experience, that's exactly what they need. Now, is one major going to be enough experience for them to make a giant, improvement on that? I don't know. Maybe there has to be a little bit more of an investment out of them, but I love the intention behind this.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are landing over at Lone Wolf. They're kind of like contested, like a little bit. But that's such an interesting point, because, I think that's something we maybe don't think a lot about is once we hit globals, every region has their own meta. And there's a lot of overlapping, overall metas, but within each region, there's almost play styles, and there's trios that like certain play styles and certain types of aggression or building or height or just strategy overall. So this is actually really interesting to me as a concept, right? And even Kelly, to your point, remember we had, like you said, we had people coming on from EU and playing NNA. I feel like that raises the ceiling, right? It's always keeping whatever region this is happening to on their toes, right? Because you can't just say, well, there's some trio here, they come, we're just gonna mess them up. Nope. This is King we're talking about. They're going to come in. They're going to make some waves. So hopefully NA is prepared. But I don't know, Kelly. This is King we're talking about.
I mean, honestly, I think it just speaks on how good of a region, maybe even the best region NA is, that we saw King actually go over to Europe to get some practice in. But he didn't do that this time around, did he? No, he went over to NA because he knows that's where the best trios are, and he wants to practice against the best.
Maybe a little bit closer to home as well. But yeah, making a statement right now before Globals definitely starts now. I got to make it into Grand Finals, and what a statement that would be as well. Imagine, they win this FNCS. Ooh, they would go on the Globals feeling pretty confident.
Confidence is key, and that is what Vivid has a lot of. Now, speaking of confidence, I have the utmost confidence in our casters because game number 1 is ready to go. Let's take a peek at what group number 2 has for us. Casters, take it away.
Thank you so much, Zeke. They set the stage perfectly from the fights that we're going to see off the drop monster to the uncontested players that have a little bit more flexibility in their game plan. But overall, I said there's at least 5-6 teams right out of the gates that have to face a contested fight.
Yeah, and this is going to go by really quickly. 5 games of Fortnite. We got a sample of that last week. It was over before we even knew it. And here comes the battle bus. Let's jump on for game number 1. All right, Jacob, Group 2 is here. Game 1's kicking off, and we are off to the races for North America. This is by far the group that I was definitely looking forward to, obviously, because of the big NA superstars, but you also...
All right, chat, let's get it. Let's go with the first match of the FNCS NA Central. group number 2 for the third group, or the third Major 3. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a second. And we pulling for good old CLIX right now. Let's get it. Let's go. Who y'all pulling for? Who y'all want to win? See, get a win tonight. Comment your wants in the chat below. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But let's sit back, let's watch, let's enjoy. Have us a great night.
A victory through on NA to kind of kick off the catalyst for their, presence on the region. So definitely looking forward to how this game's going to continue to take shape this weekend. But here we have Braid's Visual Diminish, just another team, no strangers to taking victory royales. You saw how many grand finals appearances we have here in this lobby. You're going to see a ton of names you recognize across the NA region. In general here, all of them, of course, looking to shape themselves up for a good in and out day. There's not many teams like Acorn that you saw last week that are willing to kind of mess around with their position here in the tournament day.
Yeah, and you can kind of see another contested drop, but kind of slow right out of the gate, split it, Foxy floodgates.
Peterbot says he's in tomorrow's group Get Clip, and we will be streaming that one as well. But right now, I know the two main ones off the top of my head is CLIX and Muzz is in this one. There's others, but I can't think of their name right off the top of my head.
It's center map. If you do get it uncontested, you can kind of make a triangle formation to start to get your Storm Surge from either direction, depending on where the zone goes. But being contested, there's not that much flexibility.
What you mean by mix them?
Many options.
Yeah, it goes from very versatile to extremely limited pretty quickly. Slate, Degen, and Jerry on the other side with the First Order's base here have that nice high ground.
Oh, Muzz? Okay. Yeah, Muzz is really good.
Blind fire through the bush, and it's a hit on the marker there. White tags and Reborn save his.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I understand an autocorrect. Autocorrect is a pain in the hind end sometimes.
Does manage to live to see another day. Seems like he is off by.
Dun. Hey Ari, do me a favor. We need a mod over on Crystal's stream. Would you mind hopping over there and helping out? She just had to fan somebody a few moments ago. So.
Nothing to really defend himself. One fight to the next. You're seeing some being more and more aggressive. This one wasn't even necessarily contested right out of the gates. It's two different kind of separated drives on the south side of the mountain, but this was Void. This was Cash and Percent getting aggressive. This is going to allow them to get that Storm Surge, but a bunch more loot for them to work with. They're going to get materials, and obviously this refresh, they can pick it up.
All right, running back from Void's perspective, making it look nice and clean there. Great low ground tag, saving his teammate. They come in just in the nick of time. Jumping on over to the Academy here. CLIX playing that high ground.
Hey, there's CLIX.
Time and time again, everyone's going to
only the DMR.
Nice triangular format that you kind of talked about, right?
Appreciate it, Ari.
Taking full control of the Supernova Academy. Looking for tags early on. It's going to be the name of the game regardless here. And this drop's one of the better ones, right? There's not much to worry about when it comes down to finding that beast loadout to work with. On the other side, a little highlight from Twist, not bad at all.
That's a great shot across the map. Doesn't look like his teammates are there to get the revive either. Should be able to get that one up. Listen,
Yamzo and CLIX are on the same team.
Rightfully so. That's one of those POIs, Monster. Whether it's contested or not, you do not want to get stuck there. There's different divots and mountains that you have to get across when the zone does pull over. And then on top of that, since they were contested in this game, they've got to start to be on the hunt for Surge. And that's why they saw that first team and positioned themselves to try to take this fight. But high ground versus low, you kind of know how that one plays out.
Yeah, but this is still a cool fight. We saw Hayes, Listen, and Status actually last season play very well when it came down to early game fights in finals and whatnot. So I'm actually very curious to see if they have continued to kind of sharpen their team. I do believe they have a new third on this squad, but either way, a very familiar team, if you will, as far as getting reps in these high-quality lobbies.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. But honestly, I say this FNCS is Peterbot's to lose. I believe it's going to end up being CLIX, Higgs, and Iamzo winning this one.
he's getting aggressive onto Listen, though, dropping down layer by layer. They did have the Superman Sprite trying to break through the builds, double edits onto Listen, but he's able to escape very, very quickly, reposition. So
but yeah, I honestly think that CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo is going to win this one this year.
As they look at their watch, time is
but I mean, hey, anything can happen.
Their health is getting whittled down. How long do you stay in this position?
Quick highlight here from Batman Joe, though. While things are simmering down, take a look at the wall takes and the cleanup here. Multiple eliminations, full team wipes, and they are picking up big loot and damage in the early game. Disengage happening here for Administrations and Braids. Things went from...
No, we had a oddball win earlier in the EU servers. Honestly, I can't even think of their names. But we had just, I think it was a third or fourth matchup. It was some random throwaway group. But hey, they pulled out a win.
It was a little different. They sometimes had to run into Acorn, Aegis, and Poyo, but without them in the lobby, I don't think there's too many teams that are going to be brave enough to go up there. If they are, how much are they willing to test themselves in a fight? I do know that is going to be the Demon's Domain team, if anybody can test. I saw the medallion getting passed around a little bit like a hot potato, so that way they can make sure to keep their shields up.
Yeah, definitely a key pickup here.
Chat, how y'all been doing today?
Ooh, nice misformed cloak there as well to really
Having a good weekend?
This loot here, that's a key item for endgame. We've already seen the strengths of it as these upper tier lobbies start to take shape. And again, this one absolutely a cut above the rest of, you know, comparatively to Group 1 that is. So I am definitely expecting some serious gameplay come the end here, possibly even some upsets come the end of it.
Oh yeah, Kanata I think is in this one as well.
Be that team that fights against the upset, right? We already know Kanata's got a lot riding on the line here for this grand finals appearance.
Yep, Kanata's right there. Ain't that something?
Some of the most experienced.
Wasn't even paying no attention.
Appearances, but you saw that quick step, 5 VRs in lobbies, and that just makes them some of the most experienced teams. And we kind of talk about when teams are forming, you know, that.
Hey Chet, don't forget we also do have memberships available right now. If you get stage 3 on the memberships, you'll get to create videos and shorts with us, and I need some help with that.
Short, the full trio gets knocked and sent back to the lobby, but Tony, Noisy, and Creon, they're able to win that fight. That's their 4th overall elimination of the game, and you got to imagine when it comes to Surge, they got to be preparing very well for that.
Yeah, and this is another team that is extremely familiar with the high-tier lobbies, so that's no pushover squad that you're going to find there at the edge of the map, too. You would think that they'd already be in some better key positioning come center, but nope, they have big things to worry about.
Smart move right there.
Meanwhile, Noah W plays Chaos, CLIX. We saw a lot of them, you know, throughout the years now, continuing to stick with one another as a trio as well. Like to kind of see this team kind of take shape, take form here. Right now, Kappa Kappa Factory. So many names off in the distance to choose from here.
Yeah, luckily for them, though, they haven't had to rotate too far. Uncontested outpost. So they only rotate a little bit towards the north, a little bit towards the east, where they get this position and set up, let the zone, let everything naturally come to them. Nerface Zemo, and you guys know him. He's been around quite a long time. Cease kind of rounding out this roster, landing that kind of split drop above the mountains, left of Demon's Domain, south of Foxy Floodgates. A lot of the time they do get it uncontested, and because of that elevation, they're able to plan it and set up accordingly. And with the zone pushing all the teams from the west side of the map to the eastern side of the map, they've set themselves up on this mountain so they can just kind of look at all those teams rotating in, get their surge, and kind of with that elevation, figure out where they need to go next.
See what's going to happen here. Joji just looking for a pixel to find those tags, but that team's long.
Hey, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. CLIX has been a fan favorite for some time now, and he's been hitting that 4th place for the most part of his career. But I mean, he's starting to get better. He's not to get better, but plays better. Hey, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Look at all the commitment of resources here. This is quite the visual taking place here for just 2 trios.
Trying to see whatever's left by. I can only imagine, because we previously saw Chaos and Noah kind of sitting in that box going for Surge. Maybe they saw CLIX by himself, thought it was a solo, and that's an opportunity to pounce, take advantage. Zone continuously forcing people over towards the eastern side from the west, and they're just kind of using this as an opportunity because remember, they were contested at Foxy. They probably don't necessarily have all the loot, resource, and loadout that they want, so they move on over to Outpost to try to get whatever scraps are going to be left by. But back on over to Utopia, the same two teams positioned here. They're not able to spread out as much as you would if you were solo, but you got to imagine when it comes to the surge, they got to be preparing pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, this is a team that, at least from what we've seen, should be ahead, right? Well and far away. Yeah. They've already got a team.
Hey, it's possible. So it's very possible.
Situated, plenty of max cap metal and a metal base to go with it. So seems like things are going.
But you do know that if CLIX wins, he's retiring from Fortnite. All the competitive thing.
There you go. Finally seeing it.
That's literally the only thing he's waiting on. Once he gets a win in the FNCS, he said that he's going to retire from competitive.
Continue maybe in the next 2 zones, maybe even 3. But once we get towards halfway, I think more and more of the zone will kind of reveal itself where it does actually want to go. And you're seeing kind of the edge. Not too many teams are continuing to rotate towards this side. So for Muskie, Kingston, and Max, they got to start thinking, hey, if we're down Surge, we go this way. If we're above Surge, we got to go this way. Start permeating multiple strategies, a plan A and a plan B if things do go wrong, because you don't want to be one of those teams, Monster, that is below the Storm Surge threshold with no team near you to get that damage.
Yeah, and look at this. The zone's going to be relatively close, so it's not like they have to move a lot. Not sure if this is going to work for or against them, right? Typically, you want at least some type of motion, some type of activity in your area. Nerface, Zemo, and C seem to be pretty content with their damage. They're off to the races. Not looking to trade with any of these teams inside the Demon's domain. They're trying to now place themselves in a better spot for mid-game. Little knock happening here on the rotate, though, for Akarun.
Lucky for them, Jake is still nearby as well. This was the team that was kind of just north of Lone Wolf Lair, FaZe, King, PH in. They positioned themselves, kind of sealing away most of that loot. Now we're kind of seeing what they were able to do with some of those scraps. Kind of make it pretty far into this game so far. 4th zone, but it does continue to pull drastically towards the south. You see the lean all the way towards the east. So for a lot of these teams, you see might not be the most healthy. Their job is not done just yet. They have plentiful of shields, but you can see they're lacking the HP, so they got to be on the move because they cannot take too many ticks of that zone.
I don't think we've seen an outpost enclave end zone or anything like that, so it'd be pretty interesting depending on how far these zones start to pull now. Oh, this is really scrappy here for the rotate. Let's jump in with Creo. See how things are going for Creon, Noisy, and Tony here after their fight.
Hold on, Chad. I gotta be right back. My wife's cooking and she got the fire thing going off. Smoke detector.
For this team here, everything else now is really just a cherry on top. They've kind of done what they've needed to, I think, for this lobby here.
Yeah, that's kind of a blessing right there with that bird's eye view, the elevation. You said it yourself, massive amount of storm surge. They're not in a rush to move, but we talked about this team here below the damage threshold, quite a possibility. They end up in a tough spot. We saw that they had no HP heals. All they had was shields, and that might have been it. Now one of them stuck by himself. They were able to get a trade onto one with the double res, which means he's going to get back up to tip-top shape in no time. And another team even moving in and threatening down this presence. They're just trying to take the spoils of what they got off of that elimination. They're not too far off away from the zone, so they could build, they could tarp their way in, go back, replenish some of those materials, and kind of set themselves up. They could peek through the cones and try to get as much information as
all right, Chad, I'm back.
Because they know this is going to be the stack side of the map towards the north.
Yeah, definitely is the much more congested side right now, starting to take form here. About 3.
Hey, Chad, don't forget to answer the Q&A. We have a question in chat.
Try to gather any information there. Not a Bolton Rapid though. Chilling right now. Looking to make the move here. Dash is going to start coming out. Full set of misformed charges here on the trio as well. None for Bolts though. Look at the slight min-maxing here, just trying to keep themselves capped off on material while they rotate, just taking their time, full control of the lobby right now. Ooh, big fight right now for the Brazilians. Though here on the left, Phaser, King, and PHZin come across another trio. They're still standing. They're holding their own pretty well here. Kanata, Rapid, and Bolts, though, don't even want to stop to take a look at this. They're just minding their own business.
Yeah, they know eventually whoever wins this fight is going to have to rotate in the direction. You see it in the mini-map already where they position themselves just at the edge of zone. One elimination so far. That one's going to be on to King. Probably in this fight right here was Axe and Slepsy kind of separated from their trio. And this is where King, Phaser, PHZin, even though they might not have an NA FNCS championship monster, they do have multiple FNCS championships. They have experience. They know when to kind of not necessarily give up, but not get too greedy for more and more and more eliminations, especially since they themselves are not in the zone just yet.
This takes me back to the invitationals where, you know, Brazil showed up. 2 out of top 10 spots going to them. It was quite the showing, really just putting respect on their region's top tiers.
Hey, CLIX and Yamzo.
I'm all for it. I think they are the X factor here for the globals, and anything can happen with them in the lobby.
Now you're seeing more and more of those tricks coming out from underneath players' sleeves. Didn't really get too many appearances of it. I think just kind of lack of tournaments, players streaming them, only scrims. They don't want to share too many of their strategies, but now it's all coming out. I seen one of them in the eval finals where, I don't know if it was Higgs, CLIX, Yamzo, they were able to use that Cape monster and take their down teammate into a safe location. So that's multiple strategies already out early, and honestly, in some cases, it's no use wasting them because you have to make it to the grand finals if you're looking to save it. And sometimes you need some of those tricks in order to make it happen, especially with another far pull towards the south.
555 above.
Everything's going to have to come out the bag here. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo make that quick rotate, though. Very nicely done. For others, not so much of a same story here. Zesto, Cairo, and Willers kind of caught up in the Storm Surge right now. They're kind of flirting with the line, though, so they could battle their way out of this. A lot of teams have to move here and now. There's really not much more time to waste. Got a lot of heals to work with as well. It's like right space, wrong time, it feels like right now for them.
Yeah, it's almost like worst case scenario. Max pull and active surge. Tremendous smokes going down. Willers has kind of positioned themselves a little bit up front, but he doesn't have an angle. Everybody's fully shielded up, but he's able to get another elimination. There's some damage, but because they started a fight already in progress, it wasn't enough to get him above the damage threshold. Still 21 below, and they're quickly running out of heals. 3 more ticks is all Zesto can even take.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not firing right now. We should be non-stop trying to light up those builds here. You just don't have time to waste. Caught in the zone now. It is not looking good at all. One teammate's already down. Misform comes out. How much time can he buy? You know, I asked that question last week. Can the Misform cloak save you from a surge tag? The answer is yes. It looks like he was able to mitigate just one there.
Ooh.
But again, there was no
And
time
the
on
Storm
character.
Surge got him, chat.
Falling with just 11 damage shy away from keeping yourself safe is definitely unfortunate.
Man, that's where you're seeing even statics going down in the distance. You know, you can have all the heals in your loadout, but if it's all shields, you're not able to get some of the HP back, it kind of puts you in a tough spot. 436 above the damage threshold for CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo, though. Even throughout all their rotations from Supernova Academy, they make sure to keep Storm Surge as a part of their focal game plan. Position above one team, next to a few more, in the center zone.
Lost the plot. What a name.
One around if they really do not have to do too much. Just not get too antsy. Don't make any bad peaks.
Off a really hot start right now. Was hoping to see a little bit more of the outpost caught in the zone here, but Fortnite says, not today, monster. They're pulling themselves straight north here. So off we go. This is the team that's the furthest back right now. 10 seconds before things start to collide here, so to get going, but look at all that natural terrain to work with, so diminished visuals and Braids content to take their time here. We'll see if they end up getting lobby focused.
Could potentially have options with the island back there. They are moving in that direction. Brifts, island, probably don't want to either. Just trying to find an open spot. Cash, Void, Storm Surge is active. Void goes down before the active Storm Surge takes him down altogether. So at least it gives him an opportunity. But might have spoke too soon. He gets cleaned up. and Cash goes down as well. Shari's Davis and QK, the winners, I believe, of Demon's Domain, able to get
Cash money for you today, Cash.
Pretty strong. They're able to pass that medallion around and keep themselves up when it comes to at least 50 shield, but still a far rotation in. Getting tagged on the way there. No misform in their inventory, so they're forced to use a lot of these dash sprites to make their way around the map.
Yeah, you watch the handoff of the tokens there again. Just look at that HP jump up. And it just really showing you the strength of the loadout, the strength of Demon's Domain. I mean, they have 6 eliminations as well, so a very, very telling
Canada, where you been hiding out at? 2 limbs on you? Nice.
The skies are bright and clear. No contention up top here. I don't really even see too many teams poising to put up a fight at all.
That exotic
nice
pistol.
As well. Look at how fast they are to react. There, no time wasted. Even using mobility to make sure they get that nice, secure high ground here. What a position to be in.
Yeah.
And this is like an unstoppable base right here. They're going to be well positioned for an end game, possibly even the first game win.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Rapid with that exotic pistol. He's going to shockwave anybody that tried to test the high from below the damage threshold. Dash, Skittles, Bryce, quick to react. They get 18 above.
Bouncing back and forth, above and below.
The teeter-totter, the roller coaster of emotions that they must be going through as he continues to land shots. As Magma in the distance, Scare peaks as well. Everybody here suffering for the lack of damage. As Skittles without builds, 3 HP, 143 above the damage threshold though. But what did it cost? It cost him everything. But by himself, Monster, he's able to make the play, get the eliminations. You see the 6 different medkits in his inventory. The only thing he lacks right now is mobility.
You saw how comfortable he was with the siphon tick in there. Plenty of time to work with here. HP already up. He's hit that A rank, so he's not going to have any problems making his way through, but he is still a solo here and now. Remember, consistency.
3 limbs on this team. Come on. Tonight's team's got 5.
Loadout looking a little like beware, but not too bad as things are starting to come together here in the end game. 3 eliminations already for CLIX, Higgs, and Yams. I was wondering when we'd get that nice little update, and they're going to be the team poised to possibly look at height, give Canada a problem here, but Canada's trio knows better. They know how to hold this down. They should be looking to focus these trios soon.
Kind of watching. You see Canada and Rapid continuously looking over towards their right. They know second height is there. They know the threat that they possess at any possible given moment. But with the zone pulling further and further away, almost max pull from where they're at, I'm not sure they're going to be able to hold on to hype for here. Somebody on their trio might have to make that sacrifice, jump forward, and try to go for reconnection. But with Yamzo still there, QK's team still there, everybody staggering themselves back, it's a risk that they're not willing to take just yet. Visual sprays and diminish down below, though, 255 above the damage threshold. Even with more rotation to go, they're making sure to stay slow and steady with one foot in front of the next.
Yeah, you saw they were thinking about connecting their way down there, like, nah, it's way too far. We're just going to have to miscloak across here. And Rapids, that's it. He's out of mobility now, so it's all or nothing here as they try to stick to the high ground. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo starting to kind of gas out here as well when it comes down to hard materials. CLIX down to the last bit. Yamzo looks to take over. CLIX still looking for an opportunity to attack high ground here. The misformed trading hands here. Okay, targeting the high ground. There it is. Breaks their builds out. Gonna cost them something. Let's see.
We see the exotic with the shockwave. Rapid went down. He landed a little bit of damage on the CLIX and bounced them away. And that's why you're here. The first and last shot of that pistol has that shockwave effect, a full shockwave effect. So got to be very, very careful. And I think CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs, that's a real giveaway. And they're no longer contesting for that high ground. They're looking to dominate down below. And that's why they got in the front side of the zone.
Canada doing an excellent job finding Monty there from the high ground.
Canada's getting tagged.
Just to keep them sharp and in the game. And you know what? Surprisingly, they actually have material to work with. Meanwhile, CLIX on the bottom camera just in a world of trouble. Has to misform out.
Higgs went down.
And then a knockdown body right afterwards. And look at the reads here. Manages to find himself back to Yamzo, who is leading the rotates here. CLIX, though, is online right now.
Yep, he also has that misform, so he can easily pop through and try to get to the front. Meet Yamzo on the other side. You see he already took that front step, leading the pack. King, Phaser, PH in. They're dominating in the Slayer, pushing everybody off. Even if they didn't get the eliminations, they're trying to make it clear for themselves. Up over, they're trying to meet everybody there on the other side. And you're seeing the misform come out for so many different players. They're trying to nullify any damage from that storm as they make their way around.
This is exciting. We get to see King in action here on NA. where there is no disadvantage, and they seem to be fully locked in. A lot of material to work with as well.
Rotating in with the miss.
Here comes the Yamzo and CLIX kind of jumping up, and
There again.
Layer so contested. Everyone looking to really fight for this win here, this victory royale to kind of end the day early. Medmiss going to come out here. That's going to be a big play for PH.
One more miss.
They play the zone now. Kanata, Rapid don't seem to know what's happening behind them. Bolt is looking back though after Medmiss. Okay, so he's got visuals. He sees what's going on. They have their kind of attention on high here.
Yeah, but Rapid sees him. He immediately starts firing toward the backside of the zone. They all have to go one by one by one, but it's a distraction.
Missed an in.
Way up a little bit of those layers. CLIX meets him there as well. Everybody converging. They don't want to be on that ultimate low ground. It's so chaotic. It's so dangerous down below. CLIX, Yamzo, they found a solo by themselves. He's able to escape, but he's into the backside of the zone. That one gets stolen away. Bolt gets that elimination, but there's still somebody left alive.
Come on, CLIX.
But it's only for so long. The Brazil Kings are able to dominate yet another player, but they lose one along the way.
That's right. CLIX also find elimination. He goes up now, and he actually builds. He reconnects the high ground.
Yamzo went down.
But CLIX is left by himself. It's 1 against 3 here, and he is holding.
He clutched up on the pro-ams like this.
How
many builds did he have, chat? I didn't see. How many builds did he have? Got 3 builds? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, man. The third place? Not too bad, not too bad.
This might be a 1v2 situation, or both of them still alive. Minish using that misform to try to negate some of the damage, hiding while Braids goes in for the destruction, but Kanata has a misform of his own, trying to create some separation. He has the heals, but
ooh, got popped. Kanata got second. GG's, what an end game. What an end game, chat.
We knew they could do it, but to do it like that, when there were so many
who is the winning team?
in the game, this is why they are here to demand their respect and go straight to finals while they're at it. What an exciting game number 1. I mean,
Yes, that was a great end game.
Finale finish, but
That right there is a smart move right there, building up on that rock. I ain't never thought about doing that. That's actually pretty smart.
Skittles, Dash, and Bryce right out of the gate. They split 2 separate ways. They didn't even get all of their first loot, but it's moments like this. It's plays like this. Braids goes in, uses the misform, finds key eliminations to separate them, and eventually take the game. Kanata, he was
Braids.
run, trying to hide, trying to pop those
Braids, diminished, and visuals. Nice.
Advancing to the major 3 grand finals. Braids, Aminis, and Visual. Zeke.
I figured they was gonna get 1 win in. Well, they only allowed 1 win though, but still.
There's nothing like the chaotic nature of like a final zone, and it comes down to like, you know, that final like 1v1, 1v2, 2v2, and it's just everyone's just desperately like, I have to change tarps. Where's the heals, please? Like, oh my gosh! Of course, Visuals, Braids, and Diminish. We know already. We kind of talked about it at the start of the show. They already have a spot to global, so to see them go ahead and secure another grand final spot, this is big, right? We're fighting for prize money, and the fact that they're already going through, that means if they were to end up in that like top, you know, one of those top spots, we're gonna be bumping down another spot to try and pull players into the global championship. So this is really exciting. In some ways, Kelly, like the part I'm not like the biggest fan of is like, this means now we don't get to see them until next weekend. I want to see more of Visuals, Braids, and Diminished.
Well,
It is a bittersweet moment that they get to go through into the global championships, but we don't get to watch them anymore. But that does mean it bodes well for Skittles' trio, who were contesting them over at Foxy Floodgate. Now they're potentially going to be uncontested. Obviously, some eyes are going to be looking towards the winning trio to see maybe they could drop over in their POI, but I don't know if anyone's going to try and contest Skittles over there. But for me, Vivid, when it comes down to these final moments, especially when it's literally down to
they were popping off that.
in this group, I love these photo finish moments.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I asked, I was like, listen, EU is pretty good, and I
Ooh.
want something better, and that pretty much instantly
What a
delivered.
whim.
And I went ahead and said, you know, Visuals, Braids, and Diminish kind of breaking into the top 10 in FNCS finals, let alone getting 4th last major. Okay, yeah, that's not usual for the trio, right? So that was kind of like a breakout placement for them. And I was like, well, you know, eyes towards globals, you got to go ahead and make a statement. Now, granted, this is not grand finals, right? You need to make a statement there. But man, if you want to start,
Renato would have been able to get a wall up instead of jumping down. He may have come through with that win.
Game number 1, I think that does it.
I love it, man. Oh man,
One wall.
We'll be seeing them in the grand finals next week, but for now, a short break. When we return, we'll break down more of what we saw out of game number 1, so stay tuned.
All right, chat. We got about 3 minutes till matchup 2 comes on. Hang out, sit back, relax, enjoy. If you haven't already, make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, we got memberships. If you'd like to hit membership up, we will be running member plays here soon. And also, we have a level of the members where you get to come in and do some make some shorts and videos with us. So check that out. And yeah. Also make sure y'all using supporter creator code TKHDGAMES in your item shop. You can use it in Fortnite and in Rocket League. In the meantime, I am going to step away and I'll be right back. All right, chat. We got about 30 more seconds for a good old matchup 2. Y'all get ready for some more excitement. Chat, what y'all doing this weekend?
Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS game number 1. Going on over to Visuals, Braids, and Minish. Congratulations to them. That means we'll be seeing them in the grand finals next weekend. But we still have 4 more games to go, so nobody panic. Everything is chill. Let's talk about Kanata in that last game. My, oh my, second place, 10 eliminations over on the trio. And there was like some really interesting developments. Like throughout that game,
honey.
we saw that surge base out in 9th zone, right? Like, and then just making kind of like these crazy Kanata style plays. Like, I love seeing Kanata play.
It's so crazy that you can go from everything's chill into saying Kanata's name, because I think that that's an oxymoron right there. This trio is anything but chill, and this game just showed how serious they are taking these group stages, controlling the high ground so well, and being really prepared for that end game. You can see the loadout that Kanata had. He understood the assignment, but unfortunately, Braids and Aminish wanted to make sure that he did not get an A on that paper, but we got another opportunity. We have actually 4 more opportunities, because that's just game number 1. Vivid.
I mean, yeah, that game from Kanata Rapid and Bullets, I was getting ready to be like, wow, listen, this is perfect for it.
Of course, CLIX got placed 4th after the first round. Ain't that funny, chat?
We've seen it time and time again. And then they defended, like, the chop from CLIX.
The irony in that.
Make sure they stayed connected, and then the trio was aware enough to go ahead and look into the zone, catch out King, and trying to, you know, make one of those heel-off plays to kind of flank the high ground. They defended it so well, right? Trio versus trio, everything was fine. And then CLIX enters the conversation as a solo.
Yo, what's up, EJ? How you doing?
So well, and then the 3v1 happens, and you guys are just getting like pieced up. CLIX is flying all around, hitting incredible shots that we've never seen before, and that's what ends up taking them down. I mean, listen, if Visuals, Braves, and Aminish, with all due respect, watch that game back from the perspective that we saw, they'd be like, oh wow, we didn't really like win that game 3v3 against Kanata's trio. We got a major assist from CLIX, because wow, he did some damage to Kanata's trio.
Yeah, that mythic in his hands is the exotic in the hands of CLIX is absolutely disgusting. And there was such a moment there that we thought we were going to see a solo clutch coming out of CLIX. And honestly, we did get to see a solo and even a duo clutch coming out of these guys, but just missing the mark ever so much by jumping into that box and finding a few other players here we could watch going into 3. Oh, you know, we've heard 1v1s, 1v2s, but 1v3 CLIX, that might be a little bit of a tall order.
Yeah, I mean, you managed to pump one, right? You take out Volts, but there's still 2 people in the box. You know, I respect the play. It's so exciting. But still, we got a performance from CLIX. Now, just a few more games, right? 4 more games. We got to see the VR from them. Let's talk about King. I cannot believe we saw this game. This first game go the way that it did. What a strong showing from the trio coming out. And I really like, there's kind of like these little tech things that the trio was doing, like healing in the zone, sitting outside of that tiny little circle where everyone's trying to fight. They're using these med kits, these chug jugs to kind of heal up and kind of wait, like, hey, the moment that you make a mistake or you just aren't paying attention, we're gonna strike. Like, man, these guys are nuts.
There was a moment during that Med Mist and Storm behind zone that I thought they were going to go for height against Kanata, and we've actually seen them.
Hey, EJ, don't bring it in here, please.
Also defend height very well, but I actually like that the adjustment that they made. They realized that just height was having too much chaos going on with it, so they needed to stick to low ground, go for those eliminations. It wasn't necessarily their game to win, but being able to stay alive for as long as they did definitely boosted them up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, our top trio was just straight up looking at the standings, right? Those top 4, they all did something very, very well. I mean, you know, Higgs went down a little bit early, but CLIX went ahead and pulled up the solo clutch. Phaser, Pigeon, and King, they had that mid-ground control. Visuals, Braden, and Minish, they had that front low control, and then Kanata, Rampant, and Bullets had that high ground control. So all of those trios up there putting on a performance in just different categories, awesome to see in one lobby.
Well, Viv, why don't we do it again? Why don't we go ahead? Because game number 2 is ready. So casters, let's go again.
Thank you so much. And game number 1 was anything but a disappointment. Foot on the gas the entire way through. But the interesting thing with Visuals, Braids, and Aminish qualifying for the grand finals, you'd think a spot would open up. No, for Skittles, Bryce, and their trio, that's just going to be an uncontested Foxy Floodgates. Not 2 of the map will change this time around.
Yeah, very interesting, right? For them to kind of get the tall order out of the way. You know, it's not, you know, often that the team that's contested takes a victory royale. So let's see what's happening here for game number 2. All right, Group 2, Game 2 is here, and what a start to the tournament day that we got there. That was exactly what I wanted to see.
All right, chat, game number 2. Let's get it. Let's go.
Of course, be up at the top, and now we get to continue that story here.
Going to be an interesting thing, the way it all kind of plays out after game number 1. You know, when it comes to damage, it's going to be Kanata, Bolts, Rapid. They kind of set the entire lobby on fire in that game, and they're going to be in this one yet again, Crime City. And for them, it's just kind of reps underneath their belt. They kind of got some of the most damage in that game. Kanata over 1,090 damage. Bolts 1,893 damage. First in the entire lobby, already setting the pace.
You know what? I felt like those exotic pistols slept on, right? You just saw how much of a disrupted the shockwave factor is behind them. Very interesting to watch it kind of play out in this type of caliber of a lobby. And then, of course, excellent uses of the misform. It was used in aggressive ways and heal-off types of ways there to go in and find themselves to safety. So just Group 2, not disappointing at all. We expected high-quality, high-tier action. It's exactly what we're getting. Here at the Demon's Domain, though, this is like a question I think everyone is curious about. Who is going to be in control of this amazing drop spot right now? UK, Cherries, and Davies is the team that walked away with it. And then, of course, leaving with those tokens, you saw how much of an advantage they had. They had no problem playing the mid-game and making their way to end-game.
Yeah, essentially kind of opens up your inventory slots to be a little bit more flexible because you can kind of pass that medallion around, get your teammate shield up, so kind of acts as minis of sorts, so one less there. But it's just kind of interesting the way it all plays out, at least kind of what we've seen with other teams playing at Demon's Domain contested. This one's going to be a slower approach. One team taking the bottom of the...
What you mean, EJ?
Kind of started off with the elevation. The other one themselves a fighting chance. And so far, it just seems to be working. Kind of even down the board. Trading shots between these two teams. Nobody getting too much of an advantage.
Yeah, pacing a little different for them. Seems like those 60 points treat you different when you're at the top now. They're like, wait a second now. We just got to go, stay consistent. We're going. So I think we're going to see them not really look to press the issue. Here we have the Vibes Nada. Here, Ops and Twist playing a little bit of high ground here. Rotating right into the direct line of fire of a trio here. They do have the disadvantage being down below. Let's see if they end up getting spotted out first.
On the side of the map, I mean, it's kind of like a learning lesson from one game to the next. We saw kind of them getting elimination.
Yeah, the old days was good. It was fun.
They kind of cut off a rotation path, camping.
Sometimes you gotta evolve to grow and move forward. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to evolve and move forward and try to do different things and, you know, grow the channel the best we can. I mean, the main goal with our channel and in long term is, you know, put money into St. Jude's hospitals. This is one of my goals. Put money into St. Jude's hospital to help find the cure for cancer for you know, adolescents and kids. That was one of my goals. Build churches is, of course, another one of mine.
He's got the attention, and they didn't realize another team wants that coin here. They want that medallion. It's Olaf, Anix, and Muka already showing up. Olaf pushing fast here to get the finish. Gonna cut this team off. Clean the movement. Not bad. Alright. Sophie's team might be escaping here.
Yeah, the mind game's just a little bit. Just when you think it's clear for the most part, you win the fight, you win the drop.
But we do have members, memberships, and membership level 2. They get member play. We're gonna start membership play here soon.
Dozair trying to stay alive, but he just gets taken down as well. I don't see their teammate in the mini-map, so you got to go ahead and think he's separated himself so far away from this fight to give him the best chances to get the reboot back on it.
Yeah, it's just a no-brainer for CLIX, Higgs, and Yamato. You have an advantage like that.
Thanks. Daddy, just use this.
Reap a lot of rewards here.
Daddy?
Misform, not bad at all. Yeah, things are looking pretty good for them, and plenty of damage here as well, right?
That's kind of how it all started out. They just got the elevation. They immediately went back to do the boss. Fade's the one that gets caught off guard, and nobody else was up there with them. Just kind of systematically separated them one from the next until they were able to get the full elimination. Back on over towards Utopia. Sun's trying to hide down below along with Alex Cole. Monty and Scuffy's are there as well. They saw some shots into the distance, so now he's aware not all of them are in the central location, so you got to be very, very careful not to bite off more than you could chew in any of these one situations, so you can get sidelined by Case. Seems to be spraying and causing a little bit of distraction, maybe trying to get his team to alleviate some of that pressure.
Yeah, very nice side angle here by Alex.
It's possible. It just depends.
Didn't quite make that edit in time. The one fail.
It's very possible. We might end up playing some Castle Royale or something like that later.
Good defense so far by Scuffy's on the other side of the wall. There's a kind of opening tag now to push things back here at the YouTube.
We're going to continue.
You know, last time things were pretty peaceful between these two trios. They kind of split things off, but
you know, when we play Castle Royale and stuff like that, you know, subscribers are always welcome to play.
City's only big for one trio. Elimination now going to the hands of Monty, so the aggression paying off for this team here. Kaze and Alex got to do something big here.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to kind of separate the team, and Case is doing a good job getting some damage, not only on the Cole, but to Monty as well. Two of them just basically get their shields disappear right before our very eyes.
Castle Royale, or match Castle Royale.
Good job of backing them out, but this is where they really got to start to capitalize on this position. Either disengage, go for the redo, get your teammate back, or just try to push in and get the eliminations. You're not going to get too many opportunities where you have them this week.
And they're just going tit for tat right now. Back and forth here. Material counts about half.
No, I'm talking about Castle Royale, the map that I built on Fortnite.
Gas in a tank here, plenty to work with, couple minis as well.
Also, this that I just posted is TK's channel. Y'all be able to get his point of view on streams now.
Yep, I'm gonna be streaming again tonight after this is done. Well, hi, EJ.
Never going to kind of get easier in a situation like this, especially when you're down a person. But Scuffy's just dropped to about 1 HP. Immediately gets box to box with Monty. And this is where you got to go ahead and get that player down now. Because once he heals up, you essentially are having to take him down 2, 3, 4 times. Instead of it being a 2v3, it's almost feeling like a 2v4, even 2v5, because the amount of damage that you are putting out. And Scuffy's taking all this time to heal. Monty's is making sure to put down the pressure and make sure they know that, hey, we're still here. Nothing is
high.
come easy. You see the flip side, the amount of material,
Oh yeah, no.
the amount of resources that they're down.
It was our first map that we dropped.
The distance, there's a team. They might be busy with the Spire now, but that's a potential risk later.
Yeah, that's right. Once they're done with that Spire, they're going to be turning straight focus over here, especially the longer they hear these tags go on. They're going to know these teams have exhausted so much, kind of put so much into this. Montley finally has a chance. Now Kays falls there. He gets a big knock, and here comes the full finish. And finally, things conclude here at Utopia. What a drawn-out fight and a celebration for 2 there. You know what? One thing's for certain. They've gotten a lot of damage racked up after all those kind of heals that were going down back and forth.
Kind of seeing just kind of how some of that action shook down. This is how Sun got taken down first, man. Just kind of crawling around the bottom side of the builds, get caught off guard by a lurker. Nicole was able to take down another one into Kays until eventually they're able to pounce into 3v1. And even though you said, yes, that's a good amount of surge because of how long that fight took, but they used all those heals.
You'd have to be here in chat so you know when we're playing.
It makes me wonder how many heals are actually left in Utopia for them to take with them for the rest of the game.
Definitely something to consider here. Look at this fight. This is the rematch for Creon. Tony and Noisy here. Jerry, Degen, and Slate didn't fare well. Game number 1 after that battle this time. Going to be a little bit more defensive, put a more respect on Creon's trio there. We'll back off for a moment. Kanata, Bolts, and Rapid playing the Foxy once again here, but they've got the island now. Kind of fully secured here. Name of the game, fish for tags, but nothing revealing itself to the sharp eye of Kanata from up top just yet.
Perfect. Kind of have it in Bolts' hand as well. Faster, farther, essentially stronger. And Kelly kind of hinted at this is a more focused Bolts than we have seen in the past. So I can imagine whether they get a win today or kind of qualify through consistency. That perfect streak for Kanata should still be intact. Down below in the bunker, trying to get as much of that loot as possible. They have the option in terms of rotating here because they did probably see those audio visuals of that team nearby, and now the shots being traded and connected. There's a rift inside of that bunker underneath. They can go ahead and try to use it, but you know as well as I do, flying through the sky like that, you know how much of a risk it is.
Yeah, for sure, especially when you got teams kind of situated all around the outskirts here. But, you know what? They're like, all right, buddy, we're going to be taking it here, shield up. Likely to hit the med miss and then get flying here.
Oh, excuse me.
Go ahead and cycle out the Chug Jug instead. So this is working with scraps right now. And they're only ranked C2, so very limited options here to work with.
I think I see what the plan might be. If they don't take the rift now, they're probably okay. So they are going to take. I would say
Here you go.
Zone to close.
Thank you, buddy.
Some of that XP. Hopefully, the superhero rank brings them to B rank. And then
That was a really good food, though.
It was.
They don't have the heals.
I'm gonna say that right there for later. I get hungry again.
Just going to finally go ahead and use that. Make their way
Yeah.
on in and kind of hope for the best from here on out.
Nice.
Such an interesting
Thank you, buddy.
mechanic to kind of balance, right, when you're in the game. And you see the
Another one that I want to see win today.
in the higher ranks, obviously having access to those chests there make a huge difference for total heals. You know, you're way more likely to find your med miss, misforms, and everything else that's going to really move the needle for you in game. But in C rank, definitely leaves you way behind. So let's jump in with Shadow. What do you think about the addition of Shadow to the Muzz trio here? Very, very cool to watch this play out.
No, I do. I like it as well. And, you know, when they first formed, they were on a hot streak, winning some of those eval games, kind of lining their pocket with money, getting as much practice as possible. Just now, this is where it counts, and you got to start to kind of execute. Game number 1 had some technical difficulties, but already here in game number 2, you can kind of see they got damage, early eliminations. The only thing that might be going wrong for them is another far pull over towards the east, a little bit towards the south. So they're going to take some damage. They're going to take some time getting there. And if it continues to pull, then it just kind of get worse for them. So interesting to see how they handle it.
Hey, Chad, if you're hanging out, don't forget to like the stream.
Chen and King were also in the zone last game due to how this kind of southeastern zone kind of played out for them. And they seem to be finding themselves in somewhat of a similar position here, mirroring position from the last round of Fortnite. But they're focusing on the team inside to their side. They don't even realize there was all types of opportunity coming in hot from the zone behind. Wait a second. No one left behind here.
I like that. Just a little med kit. Never know if you'll need it. I personally don't want to see them leave it behind, even if they're using it for 10 HP. But they're kind of seeing, you peek it through the cone, this vital information of every other team rotating, not only necessarily behind them, you see the two teams is on top of that mountain. They're going to have to get past them as well. And if they have the DMR in their inventory, kind of very, very risky to go through rotation like that over towards Shining Span, the bridge being a very, very fruitful kind of location and focal point for Seek, Donnie, and Joji. And we've seen in some of these games this year alone in Major 1 and Major 2 through the group stages how much of a difference maker being able to be on top of this bridge towards the end game makes.
This is a winning position. So many teams have won from this Shining Span position when the zone ends here. You secure it early. And
I'm gonna figure out what's going on with my Streamlabs.
It might even be statistically
weird why it's not showing up.
Over here. So this is a great spot to be in. Just kind of get situated on early. Slayton, Jen, and Jerry playing the edge of the zone right now. Still have a little time to work with and move here, but this open field, not too great to have to rotate through. You have teams kind of set up all around you. Yep, they recognize it too. They want to go around the mountain here. Very interesting decision there to start targeting CLIX's trio. So now they're caught between two enemy territories. Both sides very much aware this team in the middle is ready to fight.
Judging by the material, I can almost see that maybe the rotation up to this point hasn't necessarily been the most forgiving either. You see some shots continue to flurry in their direction. Not too many connections, though, so not too many worries. Dozier, Carbone, Evan, able to get an elimination off the side of the
mountain. Holy moly, 81 players still remain? That's crazy.
In the fourth zone, which to me leads to believe they're fine.
Fourth zone?
They don't have too many worries at this stage in
Not
the game.
too shabby, though.
If they don't continue to accumulate damage for that storm surge, they will eventually end up below or on that line having a few more worries than they had now.
Things from the high ground camera here. Cash percent and Void under the storm surge right now. 120 below, forced into a fight here. Against Esvin. They want to buy time here. The best thing you can do here is back off. Don't actually entertain the fight for too long. Let them come to you. Get your damage. Let the storm surge do the rest. Clearly, this team's got some serious problems to worry about. Good job by Kiera there to buy himself some window.
Kind of exactly what you said. You just got to back off. 25 damage every 5-7 seconds or so. Let it do most of the work. And then you just peek. One shot. Doesn't even matter the weapon at that point, but they're still falling further and further. Boyd's got to make a play. He's on the clock. No extra heals. Big elimination yet again. Percent does go down. 2 of the 3 members are already out. And now Boyd's going to be left by himself. They found him at the tail end. They're going to trade shots. Good for him to land that one. That's going to help for Storm Surge. But a 3v1, even with a knock onto one of those players, he's going to get sent back to the lobby. And this is where the mind games start to happen with some of the teams going down early throughout the first 2 games of the Storm Surge. When do you start to get too aggressive? When do you start to slow it down a little bit? And that's something they got to figure out fast with only 3 games left.
Where y'all at tonight, chat?
Same problem here.
What's y'all's plans this weekend? What y'all got going on?
This trio, Mystics crew there. Seems like it didn't go too far though. So both sides kind of come out of kind of wells in a way.
The lobby is being proactive. 60 damage gone just like that. As we tune into Muzz, no shadow. Sphinx already down. This is a tough situation, and they're over 500 above the threshold. He's able to go right through him, not only destroying the build, but taking the player down as well. So he will be able to get this revive back onto Sphinx, but depending on what the resources are that are left by, he may not be able to get shadow. So this could be a walking duo for the rest of this game.
Yeah, look at that. A rank now as well, so they get that passive heal too. That was the difference maker there. Muzz just straight clutching up here though in the end. And honestly, they were just lucky King PHN didn't see what was going on here. They could have easily collapsed down on into things, but they were rotating just a split moment too soon. Sphinx unfortunately falls there to the rotate now. It's another team. It's got eyes here on Muzz. Muzz just got to leave Sphinx behind. Force it just straight line it into safety here. There it is. Last bandage. What can you do?
This is tough. This is tough. 2-tick for now. You got the minis, so in theory, by the time he gets there, maybe he'll have 60 HP and shield combined. One team right in front, but if there's anybody that can 1v3, it might be Muzz, right?
I thought that was a mid kit. I was like, wait a second. You might be okay. No.
Oh, the fire pit's there, but he can't stop and use that one either. Yeah, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare.
How you doing there, Mr. C? Welcome to chat.
See what Muzz is going to do. Uh-oh. Someone sees him. Nerface Zemo sees. Alright, if there's anyone who's going to take it down, I'm okay with Cease getting the elimination here. Beat him up.
Tough. That's actually really tough right there. Muzz just kind of caught in a tough situation. You know, when all that battle was done and over with, you kind of look at all the loot that's there. There was material, there was ammo, different weapons for the loadout. But there was two big things there wasn't. There was no HP and no mobility. Literally the worst case scenario for Muzz after being alive in that situation. Either one or the two would have been great.
Yeah, Mr. CJ.
In the top 21 with how
Is that how you pronounce it?
so far, Monster. Can you believe there's no placement points just yet?
If I pronounce it wrong, I apologize.
Down for them to start to set in.
That's right. We're just hitting this end game right now. DGen, Slate, and Jerry, 11 damage above the threshold here. Have to find something, and they're gonna find shield.
Okay, okay.
Here, more shots coming from the side.
I pronounced it wrong there for a second.
On the rotate here. That's gonna be
all right. I'll just call you Jay. Is that okay?
Let's just call it material drop for the team there. Pigs in team. Oh, look how many misforms they've actually gone through. They've committed so much just to get this far.
Honestly, that stat is in top 10 in 80% of the games, which is crazy because I think Iamzo and CLIX at one point went through Mason. I think they had Virgo on their roster. As soon as CLIX was free,
yeah, I don't like that word at all. I do not like that word at all.
Since then, it's been upward progression through and through.
We're family friendly. We try to stay as family friendly as we possibly can. Of course, we get irritated. You know, everybody does. But we try to keep it curse free and respect the people.
You know, kind of highlighted Iamzo's capability and also how far Higgs has come, right? Obviously, just getting
Nah.
right now.
Not like Nick A30. Nah. Yeah, kind of like Nick A30, but Nick A30, yeah, I wouldn't say he's fully family friendly.
They have to put in work right now. Can't afford to continue to miss those shots. They need that siphon. That would have been perfect to kind of get them back in the game, but he's the only one who's got a lot to work with here. They don't even realize this guy's got no shield. That Surge is online. I think the player up top is getting tagged by it, but you need to get that damage. There it is. That's A rank unlocked for Phaser's Trio.
Yeah, they didn't get much in terms of overall storm surge damage. Saw them bump up a little bit, but they got what they came for, Monster. Exactly what you were talking about, the heals, the builds, the material. Kind of that extra oomph to get them going for this next stage of the game. 8 zone. Basically almost 75% of the way there. 15 teams still left alive. Most of them aren't going to be full trios. And you can kind of see
Skittles!
I think this is going to be a roller coaster of emotions in the next couple of coming zones because now we're going over mostly open water. And that's when we realize teams like Skittles, Dash...
Yeah, well, I try and... I've had it slip out a few times. Now, I've told Chad I do cut. I've had it slip out a few times, but that's been like ages ago, like back in Chapter 5. And it was like 2 times in total. But other than that, I try my best not to. You know, I said, we're human. We make mistakes, and accidents happen. So, but we try to keep it family friendly.
This zone can be in the end game, but Kanata bolts rapid, no strangers to high ground this time. They're going to take their learnings from the previous game and likely be on the lookout for any mid.
Oh yeah, I love Studio Art. He's our editor. He edits all of our shorts. Oh, about 98% of our shorts.
Meanwhile, Kanata finds one in the feed too, so everyone's getting active here.
Yeah, good amount of damage, the resources if they're able to drop down, because they definitely have not too many opportunities, but as long as they have that misform, you see it.
Yeah, he's a great drawer, very great drawer. I had him draw one of our design. Oh yeah, I had him draw our design, and I'm going to be using it as merchandise to promote his channel as well.
Season Fortnite, when there's certain items in the game, you see how the meta starts to take shape. We're like watching a true ultimate hype from Kanata. This is
Ooh, King ain't got no builds. They got 4 builds there.
A step even further. Those dashes to get to the front side. He still has one to work with.
Yeah, I saw CLIX. Hey. Nice, stick one. Ooh.
Opens a box against 3. Has to be careful there. That's going to kind of slow down their momentum here, but got this huge tarp to work with. Things are looking really good for them.
Yeah, and you're seeing a bunch of different teams, not only just one, saving at least one more of those misformed uses to try to steal away.
What you mean?
Try to get out of a tough situation.
Who are we voting for in 2028? Politics? With politics, we don't do politics here. I mean, not to say that I don't vote. We don't want to do mix fun with politics.
Get that loot for free. Phaser now stuck in the backside of the zone. Him and King trying to find a spot that they find comfortable with no extra mobility outside of the dashes. This one's going to be tough.
I'll tell you, with how fast these people edit, it almost seems like they're using simple edit, but they're not.
Actually perfect for us, but look at this. The zone is straight vertical. Both, of course, leveraging the medallion here to get straight up and over. No problem. Easily gets up and over this thing, but everyone else struggling. Just look at that.
Oh, CLIX just got dropped. Youngzo's dropped.
Absolutely lit up. Barely any healthy teams here. Actually, in fact, it's only Kanata, Bolt, and Rapid who seem to be completely.
Yeah, it looks like Kanata might win this one.
This is just a smooth ride this time to the end game.
So CLIX and Higgs just went down.
I don't think there's very many full teams left, but Donnie might just be. But Bolt's
I think he's down too.
I said he's the collector, getting all those resources, making sure they have them up above. He's essentially himself.
I think they're all down.
Just trying to get as much shield back. He knows the inevitable is around the corner. He's forced outside of the zone, but he's trying to make it an easy rotation towards the left side. But high ground's focusing. Only one build left for him. Now or never. He has to try to make a.
All right, what's up with your stream? You still streaming, honey?
Listen, the strength of being S rank is showing here, and now the scare bear.
Oh, he was clutching too. My favorite Fortnite player. Oof, that's a tough one. That really is a tough one. I like TG. I like Fortnite Dad. I like of course CLIX. I like CLIX. But CLIX, he. Ooh, Kanata with a dub. Nice. Okay, so you are still streaming? Yeah, honestly, I don't really have a favorite. I just have a good handful that I like. Yeah, Mr. Savage, he's good. I also like what's his name? He wears that green superhero skin. The sweat skin. I can't think of his name. If I wouldn't put it on the spot, I'd be able to tell you right off the top of my head.
But my God, Bolts, man, he was just on a different level here, Jacob.
Yeah, it's kind of giving me flashbacks.
Yeah, Zimmy. Yeah, I like Jimmy. He's good. Phase replays, he's really good. Honestly, it's really difficult to really pinpoint who I really like. I just I gamed with Fortnite Dad the other day, and I got my other acquaintances that I game with, like Zorak OG. He's cool.
We're trying to reboot him, Vivid, but we don't have
that's really hard to put it,
Yeah, I mean, Z, listen, everything's starting to get hot over here on NA.
He has
the
the best
power down over there, but listen,
shot. I think I heard of him.
We were kind of looking at game number 1.
I've heard of Bush Season. I don't think I've watched them though.
CLIX kind of put a halt to that real quick. Well, I can tell you right now, game number 2, CLIX did not make it to some of those final zones, could not put a stop to this trio, and I'm kind of happy that they actually didn't qualify in game number 1, right? Because we actually got an opportunity to see them in back-to-back games control the high ground. I think statements like that, right? Them showing, hey, listen, we're going to...
I knew Kanata and them was going to win it. Of course, they got Kanata, Bolt, and Rapid. That's a stout team right there.
We've talked about it so many times on NA. It feels impossible for some of these teams to hold it the entirety of the end game. They just did it back to back.
And what I love,
and of course, you got all the like Loser Fruit and Courage JD and all them as well. So, I mean, it's really hard to pinpoint a good one of my favorites. I like a good bit of them. Most people would say typical gamer, but I don't try to be like everybody else. But I tell you one thing though, that man he deserves to get his icon skin like now.
They didn't want to go for the 5 games today. They wanted to make sure that they were done and dusted by game number 2.
Yeah, it's so funny. If you kind of switch from the perspective of each one of these players, right? You tune into Bolts throughout that end game, and he's like on the low ground, and then you switch up to Rapid and Kanata, and they're on the high ground. You would never think it kind of like the HUD was off. You'd be like, oh, they're definitely not on the same trio. But they were right playing completely 2 different roles.
Last round, he should have put a wall in between him and the opponent to get the win. This round, I guess he heard me. He got that floor between him and the opponent to get the win.
Being able to save that from that fall damage allows them to play like that. Just play to perspective or perfection throughout.
Dude, I wish I could play like this. In games like this, dude, I'd have some epic games. No pun intended, of course.
But we're going to figure out which next trio will make their way after this break.
What makes you say that? I mean, I could probably understand, like, arthritis and stuff like that.
Daddy.
What's up, kiddo?
I have one.
You got your baby Yoda?
Yeah. I got this on your birthday.
Yep. Yeah, I guess you did.
Yes, I did. It's bad. Mommy, one,
Dude, they were cooking that round. 44 limbs. 46. 47. 48. Oh, that's my son. I have 3 boys. TK, he usually streams with me when we game, and that's my youngest. Yeah, I go by HD, so it's TKHD. Oh, you're good. You're good. He's young, so he's got that kind of a voice. Hey Jay, have you hit that subscribe button yet? If you haven't, please. He's not in here right now, but I'll definitely tell him. Appreciate it, Jay. I appreciate it. So I noticed that you got over 100 subscribers on your channel. What kind of content you put out? Video games and memes? Nice. I want to do a meme. I need about at least a minimum of like 20 people. Music and other. Oh my. Okay. Okay. Yeah, our other channel. On my other channel, I post Bible verses. But I haven't posted it in a little while. I need to get back to it.
Good job. All right, great stuff. Let's talk about game number 2, though. We wanted to go ahead and highlight King. These guys are just putting on a performance right now. I mean, to come out in a 4th place 8 elim game, right? Last game was 3rd place in 6 elims, rather. So, yet again, these guys are firing on all cylinders. Like, if this is just for practice, which is something Vivid talked about at kind of the start of the show, these guys are a trio from Brazil.
I Can Only Imagine by Mercy Me.
They're competing, and, I mean, Kelly, they are going crazy.
Yeah, I love this representation from them. Anytime a region comes out, especially a region that's not EU,
all-time favorite right there.
I like to think, oh, well, this isn't, the big region. But of course, it's King, Phaser, and PH Zen. This is, I mean, they go beyond their region, honestly. I think as a team, as a trio, they are just so highly regarded. And to see them hold their own in the NA region, in these group stages, just makes me so excited. And Phaser had such a good solo clutch here. Again, staying kind of in the center of low ground. He knows that he needs eliminations and refreshes, but he knows that he can't stay at the front of zone. So instead, he kind of plays this second low ground and plays in the back to make sure that he has all the opportunities he can get to get just a few more eliminations and a few
still
more
4th, chat.
And that is why they are still sitting in the top.
Oh, I like music. I listen to music.
Placements and CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo in 4th place right now.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff from Phaser, PH, and King. I mean, even just watching through some of those highlights right now, you clearly get a clear image of what
where's Muzz at?
All those end games, right? Just look back at all the
That's
teams.
Crazy not to see him in the top 10.
Kind of surprising to see them a little bit below that trio, or maybe not so much, but things are quickly kind of shaping up right now, Zeke.
Okay. I don't really listen to too much outside of Christian music anymore. I used to listen to all kinds of music, but I try to prioritize my music to mainly Christian music.
First game, 14th, no elims, kind of like a starter, right? But this last game, a 2nd place with 6 eliminations. That's the kind of consistency we need, especially at this stage, right? We just have a few more games like that, Kelly. We can easily find ourselves in the top 5 in consistency.
Yeah, Zeke, Donnie, and Joji, all of those names individually, I've heard throughout the FNCS for years now, but to see them kind of join together in this trio is a bit different. I know that Donnie and Joji played together last season and had a pretty okay performance. I think they actually got 11th overall in the grand finals.
23 11. Wow.
Overall from them, and I think that they're really just finding their footing as a trio right now, and to see them in
South Carolina,
being able to make it into the end games definitely bodes well for them in the future.
Gotta give a shout out to Jacob, right, our little Fortnite historian right there. As soon as he saw Donnie up on the higher ground in a 1v3 situation, instantly the call back to the famous moment for Donnie. If you forget what I'm talking about or don't know it, I'll go ahead and check that highlight out on Donnie's Twitter. It is awesome.
Oh yeah, man, to see him again.
What's up, TK?
Dude, we love that. We are now 2 games in. Only 3 games.
You good over there, buddy?
Because if we need to make pivots or adjustments or adaptations now,
European, nice. Did you watch the EU matches yesterday or earlier today? I know we streamed that this morning. And we'll be streaming it tomorrow morning as well for the Group 3.
That's fair. That's fair. What's that, Kelly? You said Canada? You said you missed the Zeke? Canada! Okay, all right.
Thank you so so much, Zeke. I felt like I could hear him all the way over where I live right now, Monster. But 2 games are done, you know, and finally a drop spot has opened up with Kanata reaching his 27th grand finals. Crime City is now up for grabs.
Yeah, Crime City, great drop, obviously, here. But game 2 concluded, done, and you're right. Who is going to take high ground? What more is left here for trios to go ahead and look to aspire when it comes down to fighting for height? You know, what more do you need? They did it in such a strong fashion. I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out, Jacob.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. You know, let's take a look at Phaser, King, PH Zin, first place on the consistency leaderboards. They talked about it kind of start the show, how they went over to EU as a duo this time. They got their global championship spot locked in, and they came over to Central. And this is honestly what I love to see about some of these teams in the other regions, investing in themselves, giving themselves the best.
I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, but hey, go up, or come back and check out our live tomorrow. I'm gonna be doing the EU Major 3 Group 3 in the morning. Well, in the morning for me, it might be in the afternoon. It should be the afternoon for you. Come check us out there. We'll continue conversations over there, man. You have yourself a blessed one.
Couple more games ahead of us, and we will be done for Group 2 and moving on to Group 3 tomorrow here. But do keep in mind, it's about being consistent, but more importantly, taking that victory royale if you want to get a straight shot to finals. That's what's on the line here. And when you win, you're taken out of the lobby. That's what Jacob was talking about. So things start to open up. Less teams are queuing in now. And then it's, of course, a fight to the end.
Already resistance base uncontested. We've known that to be the case throughout the day. Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, though, didn't expect them in this situation. Only 12 points so far, so they got to make these last 3 games count. But as we tune into Lone Wolf, they've had enough. Doggo, Oakrun, and Jake, instead of landing towards the outskirts north of Lone Wolf Lair, they said it's time to contest it. You guys have had your chance uncontested. We have to start to make up for lost time, and this is the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, game 1, they had this completely to themselves. This time around, you know, a little more friction going down here, and I like it. I like the action, and it seems like things are not looking too good as Paige Zin has already fallen. So somewhat of a rough start for King and company, but to make up for that there, misses the first opening tag there. That would have really set things up for him, given that Doggo didn't have shield right then and there.
He knows his teammate is nearby, passing on over some of those heals. Even if they might not have a full loadout with Outlaws or Sentinels or even a Twin Fire, you just want to make sure they can do that bait and switch, jump in and out of the box as they're getting pressured on the other side. A lot of the builds, Phaser was trying to farm up, just kind of go out the window in an instant. And I think they know, the trio knows on the other side. Jake just trying to cut off a whole nother angle, stop the possibility of them going up. And if they do, they run into trouble. King trades shots with one. It's just the numbers game is just too much right now for them to overcome, especially since they're out of builds.
How fast he was thinking about that edit right there. Just gets right up and over. Attacks another player for 85. Didn't want to wait. Almost gets the full finish there. King is very hurt, though. This is going to come down to Phaser. If he can get that initial trade, here goes the one. There's the knocked body. Tries to hunt for the finish. That was greedy, but definitely at least puts a little pressure on, makes him think, and then plays a side angle. And this is a one-on-one player up the top. Has no shield. Phaser gets the dropped materials here. These are the scraps, as they call it, from King there. Jake, unfortunately, doesn't get the same from his trio. That could be the difference maker. There's the Siphon going in, completely cap him off, and now plays for the pickup. So it's going to be a double trade on both sides here.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, Jake canceled.
Oh, you can't let that cancel. That's a mistake. And he goes through old builds, just trying to chase them away. And this is where Phaser knows, especially with King just getting revived back up, you got to give him some time to heal. They might not necessarily have a fighting loadout. And on top of that, if they already have the reboot card PH in, this might be the best place for them. They're on the side where they can't easily access that reboot ban and at least try to get him back in the game.
That was kind of crazy. Like, a couple moments lost there could have been the difference for them. And you know what? Also close for Phaser, King, and PH in. They get to see another day. Joji, Donnie, to see them kind of setting up their early game. We're just doing our roundabouts here, around the map here. More action happening and unfolding everywhere. Back to the Canyon Crossing here as Heroes, Twist, and Vibes Nada. They've kind of been the victors, if you will, of the Canyon Crossing game and game again. But of a standoff here with Bluff's team. The last game, they also kind of disengaged after some time, so it seems like they couldn't quite conclude here either.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those tough spots, this and Shogun's Solitude, to where there's a little bit of elevation here, but because of the surrounding mountains, you see it right there, it's not most of the desired spot to land at. But nobody's really making an easy push over on that side of the map, so we're going to go back on over to Utopia. We know these two teams have been battling it out game after game, and now into a game 3 as well, with Cole already getting knocked down. Scuffy's forced to reload, not able to take advantage of the missed position of Alex, but he's in a 1v2 situation, so eventually the numbers will catch up to him. He has to figure out, Monster, a way to separate one of these two players into a 1v1.
Yeah, you know, last game, he didn't win this type of engagement. This time around, he's putting up a somewhat better fight, but, you know, losing his teammate here, still you have to give the numbers advantage to Scuffy. Scuffy did a great tag there, edits him down, and just a matter of moments there. It is. Things finish up here at the Utopia, and look at that. That jumps them up to 84 points. So from the bottom of the barrel, well into the running right now. Clearly, they're fighting their way through, being consistent time and time again after walking out of Utopia. Now, the last two zones ended kind of down towards that southern and kind of eastern area, so we'll chalk it up to that. You know, sometimes you just get lucky, right? If you keep pulling those zones, you might just walk away with the consistency spot based off of that.
It's just that little bit that matters, but all the way from Supernova, you know these first two games, Monster, they've been rotating all the way towards the south. You're kind of seeing how it plays out over towards Supernova with not too many players actually contested on this side of the map. You can kind of set up, you see the two different towers. So do CPH, Sin King, Phaser, all three of them back into the game, but just kind of leads the question of what's left after here. What's next? They were contested at Lone Wolf. The other team they were going against was able to kind of disengage first. So where do you go for loot? That's going to be a big question and a big challenge for this team.
Yeah, it seems like now they have 3 elims, things kind of finish themselves over. So I find this interesting that they're moving away from the island. They're like, all right, that's going to be a huge attraction point. Maybe we just got to get out of here. Keep a low profile, get some material count instead. Take a look at the highlight. Yeah, so we knew it. King Phaser, PHN get kind of picked up here off the reboot. XJ comes back for some more action, and they get shut down.
Just one of those things you got to learn. If you're going to go ahead and contest and take a big fight like that, you got to go ahead and execute, and you do have a numbers advantage. They still have 2 games left, though, Monster, for them to make up for lost time, and maybe, just maybe, King, PHN, Phaser could win this game and leave that drop spot uncontested for them, but there's still so much to play out over at the north side of the map. First order base contested throughout most of this day, with both teams kind of trying to split it as much as they can, but with the zone moving over towards the north, they're not so much pressed for time to rotate.
Late DGen and Jerry just kind of edging ahead ever so slightly on the overall points here on the tournament, so not necessarily overperforming so far in the first 2 games, but they're definitely not too far behind. Carbone, Evan, and Dozier now kind of giving up their positioning all the way there. You kind of let the team just tower over you. That's the problem, especially with these high-power assault rifles kind of in play right now. There goes one misform on out. This is just all types of bad. Dozier thinks he's going to keep a low profile there, but, you know, what's happening? There's one finish. They're just, like, getting kind of pieced apart here.
Nah, kind of like a science class. They're just getting dissected one by one by one. They're able to at least get that elimination cleanup onto Carbone before and right back to the double res onto DGen. Dozier and Evan had no choice but to kind of move themselves down the side of the mountain over towards the first order base. And rightfully so, because the zone is pushing them away. That's forcing that trio up above that did win the battle. Do I stay in zone? Do I try to hunt it down? Because there are so many different places to hide over at that POI.
I'm surprised they even got, you know, were able to get out of there. That kind of scared onto DGen's HP. They're like, wait a second, you know, these points mean more to us. Let's just go ahead and chill for a second here. Not let anything bad happen. We'll update on Skittles. Seems like their team's doing just fine, 75 points in. Meanwhile, big fight happening here in the zone right now. Team padding on in. Listen Hazen's status already at a full trio life and continuing to push here onto Snake's team now. Force them to get off and run away, and Snake's caught on the disengage there. Oh, another team on the way up, too.
Oh, we've seen them third party before. Yeah, since there's low HP, it's kind of like interesting what kind of play. Yeah, they're going for that bunker underneath. They might try to pop up that mist smoke, use that rift that kind of spawns in there, that infinite rift, to try to go ahead and create as much distance as possible. They have to be careful, though, because Listen Haze and Status are nearby. And I want to think they maybe have heard or hear something, the audio's visuals, whether they're healing or not underneath. So now that they know, they have to wait for them to use that rift. Otherwise, they got to go on foot. There's some launch pads nearby that Haze is going to go ahead and use. You don't want to be stuck in the sky for too long, especially this deep into the zone.
And they do have that B-rank chest available now as well. So see if it's worth fighting for. Meanwhile, CLIX, Higgs taking on the Spire here. Should be looking to kind of wrap this up quickly in the distance. Teams kind of watching, listening out.
Kind of a big part. Yamzo, CLIX, and Higgs focus and game plan. They stay over towards Supernova Academy, but they're able to take that rain lane that launches them all the way over here towards Brutal Boxcars. And whether there's a team or not, they usually still try to fight this one out, try to take it all for themselves, but it's not just the loot that they're dropping, but you're seeing how much loot that they do actually get. Huge upgrades in almost every single loadout slot, extra chug jugs, HP, but it's the XP as well, and exactly what I was talking about. Whether there's a team or not, Monster, they're making their way over here toward Brutal Boxcars, and it's going to be anything but easy.
Yeah, notice before they even showed up and got that trail wipe, they were already kind of super highly ranked. They were at A rank, so clearly they have a lot of they have a very sound route kind of ironed out for themselves already. Willers, Cairo though, Susto, what's happening here is they've kind of got a team on the run right now outside the pump power. D-Gen's team also just inching their way in from the outside of the zone there too, but everyone seems to be more focused on getting a move on now. Mason, Madeline, right now, just at the shiny shafts. Not a team in sight here, so be big chillin' as they get their move on.
Yeah, probably a couple of teams that already land here trying to be proactive. Take a lot of the different mountain ranges just north of shiny shafts. Probably hedging their bets that it's going to continue to pull towards the north, because game 1 and 2, when the zones were drastically pulling towards the south, it continued to pull towards the south. So they're hoping if the trend does continue, north zone continues to pull towards the north, try to be proactive and beat every other team there. And for Mason, Lost, and Madeline Klein, they're just kind of going towards this mountain over north of Crime City. That's going to give them a clear view of almost the entire island. You see them looking on over the distance. There is going to be somebody over there, but I just don't know if they have the angle just yet because they might be in a bush.
Cease's team. Oh, yeah, they spotted out from afar there. Tagged big time. Look at this. What's happening here? Zip's team kind of on the move here. CLIX Yamzo. I think they realize how close this team is, but they've got to go as well. Oh yeah, he does see them.
At least moving over in that direction. Kind of split up a little distance between them all, but just so they can cover as many angles as possible. Higgs continue to look off into the distance. The map awareness here is huge. As much information is going to be gathered from both CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo. Give it all over to Yamzo to kind of lead and kind of figure out what to do with it. And as the zone continues to pull over towards the north, it's going to force a lot of the teams that are on the northeastern portion of the map to rotate through Supernova Academy and kind of directly into the rotation of CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs. And if they're kind of set up right, this is how they're going to accumulate a good amount of surge. That way they can focus on their game plan.
Oh, Nerface not there. Seems like their rotate just going straight south after being opened on, voiding team, and then jumping on them. You see here from Madeline Klein and Mason's perspective, they're not even looking that way. They don't even realize what all's unfolding over there. They got kind of their eyes on this team in the middle of the map right now. I like the pressure they're putting on them, given that they got to move through them.
The only situation now is you got to make sure that all this damage that you're going and waiting for to rotate is going to be worth it. is now you kind of rotate into the clear open. You see they don't necessarily have all of them with this form. And as of now, maybe not even having dashes charged up and ready to go. So if they get jumped on, disaster could strike. But you see in moments ago where Mason was looking at, able to get that damage. He did get that knock onto C's. That was Nerdface's teammate that you were talking about early on. And they move in to kind of solidify the elimination, something that's absolutely necessary at this stage in the game.
And they were hungry to even double back down and go into the zone and fight. So probably just desperate for damage, kind of seeing, you know, what's to come, kind of looking out towards the future. Noisy, Tony, and Creon, though. Playing deep into the storm right now. Still 3 eliminations on them as well. And they've got eyes on players there, but playing the dead side rotate right now and taking their time while they're at it.
There's a few teams there. You got to think all the teams landing towards the north. Everybody tries to make that early rotation south, especially because of the first 2 games. So, like you said, slower side of the zone. Not too many people going to contest them on this side. And so you got to start to think, how much Storm Surge have they accumulated up until this point? Well, you look at them, they already have 3 eliminations. You got to think bare minimum 3, 4, 5, 600 Surge, plus the damage they were able to get in the distance because they land over towards pump power. A lot of teams having to rotate through them as well. And they're kind of feeling confident to rotate through that slower side of the zone. So you got to think their Surge relatively high. As Noah, Chaos, CLIX, kind of moving in from the south. This game around Monster, compared to some of the ones they had before, they've probably had to rotate some of the farthest so far.
Yeah, and look at this. They have no idea. Rihan and Senk's team just waiting there. And all, they get a little glimpse, like, wait a second, there's another team here, and they end up shifting focus. I like this, though. Position themselves to kind of be on the outskirts here, to do the sandwiching, as opposed to getting third party there. So they have to call this one off, and I think this is a sign that Noah's team might be desperate for damage right now.
Snakes, Bluff, and Mystic. We saw them going up a mountain deep into zone. They find themselves with an elimination, but you still 122 below the damage threshold. And they do have some medkits. They have some shields, even the dash sprite to try to close the distance, but none of that is going to help them in terms of accumulating that damage, even with what looks like possible elimination on Devoid here. Kind of soften the blow of that damage, but they still need to find more. There might be one player behind them, but it's all about the focus in front of them because they still have to rotate towards the zone.
A little too late in the game for Donnie to be keeping those walls open like that. We're, you know, kind of edging our way towards zone 6 right now, so a little sketch, Scare Bear. Also trying to gather some information. Nothing special happening here just yet. Keep tabs on them. To the other side, what's unfolding here? Little 3v2 now as Esvin claps back onto Cairo, gets collapsed on, gets a trade-off though. Not bad. Walks out of there with 1 HP. Misform. Miss has to come down for the HP here. No time wasted. And look at that, they turned this into a 2v2.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of be easy for them to kind of separate it. They got that first elimination, but eventually, Troy, you got to give them all the credit. Him and Esvin, they were able to get an elimination back. So instead of being hounded in a situation right here, box to box in a 2v3, they make it just that much more riskier for that duo now to continue to play aggressive. But Cairo is lurking around, trying to hide as much of the audio visuals as possible. And there is some of that old builds of his to recycle and move his way through. I don't even know if they know how lucky they just got. They start to move on out just as the gap got closed, and they do have the misform. Hopefully they both have it because you don't want to get separated too far from your duo in this situation.
Yeah, and look at the zone, too. It seems like the stars are aligning right now. Things are kind of pulling towards that Supernova Academy.
Oh, reset, server.
Good job by Charter there. Surge now active. You see Fade, Hulk, and Tofi kind of unfortunately below the Surge once again. This is another game here and now where kind of found themselves in a bit of a tough situation. The lone wolf just about abandoned of teams trying to make a move right now.
You can see he has that that mythic Spire rifle, so they do have the Demon's Domain loot as well. They just need to drop and pick it up, start that shield to regenerate, but they're still below the damage threshold. You do not go down in this situation, so you cannot get ticked for that final amount of damage. You get straight eliminated. No chance for your teammates to get the revive back on up, and now the zone is overtaking them as well. Problems on top of problems. For Willers and Gyro, they're at least above the damage threshold, and they have that misform to try to close the gap, but they're at the edge of zone. So many teams are now looking over into this distance and beginning to spray down. The firing range is in. They need to find any bit of safety on the inside, but Willers just cut short. He gets taken down as well. Only a 2-tick as of now, but it just gets upgraded into a 5. He is definitely on the clock here for survival.
Almost gets all those
Oh my god, fuck now.
Toefeast seems like he just had an angle on him. And everything is just unfolding, unraveling almost at that southern start of the map. Take a look at what happened here. Donnie down, Seek is out. Doji gets the quick pickup here. Luckily they don't get collapsed on. The zone's now pulling south officially just outside the Supernova. Love to get a little update on Team CLIX as he finds Zip in the feed there. So this is their drop. Meanwhile, King, Phaser, P8 Sin, things looking very good for them. 6 eliminations, my gosh. They seem to just be loosening up now. They've kind of got their footing here in the tournament after that first team wipe.
Yeah, they got chug jugs, med kits, extra builds, they got extra bigs, they got everything they need and more. And they might even be just inches away from the zone as well, depending on how much time they do want to invest in this situation. They can tunnel on over. They can build and bring a lot of that loot back to them. They set their eyes on height. Hayes, listen. Not taking that risk. You see them go ahead and dive all the way back down. They don't want to fight it out now. 18 teams still left alive, Monster. Only one more needs to fall before those placement points start to set in.
Yeah, it seems like things are picking up pretty quickly here and now. Skittles, Bryce, Dash, big decisions to make too as they've got to move now. Focus coming in from the team on the outskirts. Take a look at the highlight here for CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo. Saw them getting active right now. They're now at 5 eliminations and counting as they're turning all 9 here in the end game. And they're also a team that is fully capped out. This is an excellent situation to be in right now. And another elimination here as we jump into real-time action taking place here. Builds come out, player slips through the load round. This is all theirs though. Twist tries to come and get a little side shot there, but CLIX playing with fire there, kind of backs off, like, wait a second, not worth the risk here now. And we're getting into endgame, and they have a lot of maps they could be looking to play for height soon. Unless Phaser and PHN have a different idea in mind, but look at this, Yamzo kind of opening things up. The free edits are coming through, and they just clean up this trio, no problem.
Nice, 10 limbs, let's go.
Jacob, this early in stage.
And you see him just kind of go through off the back of CLIX, kind of. Throughout the first 2 games, obviously we'll add the damage later. CLIX has the second highest damage behind Bolts, 2265. They're really relying on him, Higgs, and Yamasu to do their share of the IGL, so that way they can kind of build themselves a cushion for Storm Surge, focus entirely on rotations throughout the rest of this game, and there's their counterpart to the top side on the high ground for now. 820 above the damage threshold for them. King, Phaser, and PH in already in first place to start this game on that consistency leaderboard, and if they qualify here, it just opens up a spot at the bottom.
Yeah, Yamzo kind of left lurking behind though. He's got to dash his way out of there. Phaser's got eyes on CLIX's trio down low, but they switch on over to heavy mats. Pressure kind of eases up for a second. Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx still alive in the mid-ground as well. Big names starting to take place here. This is going to get real competitive here, and soon Yamzo, CLIX, and Higgs trying to opt in to play low ground front side here. Going to kind of swing around now. But still, notice how they keep turning their attention to high ground. And also, notice how no one is any layers near height. And this is what we've been talking about. There isn't a team in this lobby for some reason or another that really is looking to contest height early.
And CLIX, Higgs, and Yamza would be the kind of second one. Maybe Muzz, Sphinx, and Shadow if they're feeling daring enough, and the plot just aligns perfectly. But outside of that, I don't think too many people are going to contest it. The roller coaster of emotions, we're going up and through Lone Wolf Lair, down the side of that creek. Not too many big mountain ranges are going to be involved. It's going to make it for dashes just like this from Dash, Sprite, and Skittles to make it easy to cover from point A to point B on the other side. Repositioning before the zone opens up, so it's that much easier when it finally does.
Clean rotates, clean timing there for Dash and Bryce there. Into the front side, Donnie, Joji, Seek. They're pretty solid right now. Once again, this is a duo right now. 10 below the surge, but more importantly, just working as a two-man operation. Underneath enemy builds here, have to be extremely careful now. And look at this, CLIX box up now when they caught him in misform. And you might be invincible, but when you're in the trap like that, it's a spider's web. Yamzo, CLIX, Higgs using the misform to now rotate all the way around the outsides here, playing ever so slightly closer to the high ground now. Kind of working their way up this natural elevation here. Phaser and team starting to run through material up top. Could they be gassing out here soon? I doubt it, but they are online here, Jacob.
Yeah, they're extra reinforced. I gotta imagine flying through like that for CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs. That's vital information. This is like Chimp, Mason, and Golden, front side of the zone. They use the madness smoke to try to buy them extra time and space. Deej and Jerry and Slate are there as well, battling box to box, getting forced out of that position. But King once again gets to the front side of the zone, tries to reinforce, making sure that they cannot get shot down easily on their high ground. As CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs, they haven't looked up for a couple of zones here. They're just making sure to maintain their presence and position in the front side of the zone down below.
Yeah, even for misforms here, they're just, you know, again, kind of gathering information on the low or mid-ground teams, and this, to me, just screams preparation for grand finals, right? Just trying to make sure they're staying the most consistent as possible, and that means making it through the end games and doing whatever it's going to take to secure those positioning points first here. Zone now putting pressure, though. They've got a long way to rotate out. Donnie and Seek doing just the same here. Good for Joji, but he's got no health to work with, so Siphon's what he's going to be on the hunt for. Can he do it without taking damage? The real question now. Kind of hunting through the layers. I like what we're seeing right here, but Yamzo just not giving anyone a break here. And again, misforming, leading his way through. CLIX now on the outskirts there. Just perfect positioning time and time again.
Yeah, Yamzo proven it's not just the brain. He got Braun as well. As King, Phaser continuously reconnecting every chance that they get. But exactly that, they've invested everything up until this point, and we're barely into the top 10. Still more than half of the placement points still left in this game as CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo. They're in the front side of the zone, but they had enough of playing nice. Now they're ready to get a little bit mean. They get the elimination on the causers, continually firing back onto Dash, cutting off every chance and every path that he has as they use the misform to quickly reposition once more.
Remember, King already took half the material from the high ground team, from his own teammates, so they're kind of split in here. Yamzo catches another one. It's King inside the box, who is desperate, trying to get the refresh, and now high ground is fractured here. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo have a chance to win this game. They end up forming out. Higgs goes for high ground. He secures it. Phaser claps back, though, but CLIX secures it now from up above. He kind of overcommits with the builds, but the tags here to go ahead and put them all down. And just like that, they're in control. Yamzo takes down PHN as well, and they are in the running now to win this game.
In their back pocket, you see two different chug jugs, more than half full. The just in case, the plan B. They know Phaser's around. CLIX is on the hunt, looking for him. Probably spotting out the audio visuals, but there's a full trio down below. This is their chance to claim as much space, get healed up, because they know the inevitable. The clash is going to happen. 3v3 situation. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo versus Golden, Mason down below along with Chimp, and now they're spraying the boxes. There's Yamzo's chance jumping out. He has the medallion, hides that first shot, but it's going to be a big one. CLIX goes down. Yamzo's looking around, spraying in a full 360, but he loses control, and he loses the entire fight. CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs go down. That is Golden. That is Mason. That is Chimp that had just clutched up a grand final spot.
A rare Yamzo miss right there as the tracking. It was just too chaotic. You saw his crosshair onto Higgs for a moment there, and that brief lapse of judgment. All of a sudden, Mason's team comes out of nowhere. They were in control. What an end game we just watched play out. Game 3 keeping us on our toes, but hey, you can't be upset at that. We get to see the best continue to stay at it here in the lobby. Mason lost the plot, back in the action here. Take a look at that. Madeline Klein jumps up, and they just didn't even realize where Madeline Klein was shooting from. A Victor Royale for the team here is going to send them straight to finals now. Group 2 is starting to heat up here. Let's get on over to Desto to give us some more action. Did that just happen? Oh, man. You know what? It's fine. This is all part of the plan. This is all part of the plan. Congratulations to Mason and his trio. They're going through the grand finals.
Sometimes Fortnite's a bit chaotic, right, Kelly? You know, it's a little bit chaotic sometimes.
Unpredictable is the word that I'd like to use in this moment here, because you could have everything going for you, from mats to the loadout to the heal off potential, high ground control. But when there's just another trio waiting to ruin your day, sitting in the thralls of low ground, waiting for you to just not make one right move, well, that can really just show you how unpredictable these lobbies can be. Big shout outs, though, to Mason, Golden, and Chimp, a newer trio forming just before this season started. And honestly, I don't think anyone was expecting this trio to win the way that they did, but I love to see them make their way into the grand finals.
Yeah, I love that Kelly went ahead and pointed out that, that's Mason, Golden, Chimp. Definitely more familiar names, right? Been in FNCS finals before. And yeah, it's kind of funny how that lobby kind of worked out. We were watching CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo kind of dominate that front low. They were kind of maintaining that, picking up eliminations over and over. And as soon as they left it to go take the high ground, Mason, Golden, Chimp instantly kind of took over and had that position ready to go ahead and win the game.
Man, they were at 108 points going into this. So they were basically like 9th place. So they were kind of like in and out of like that top consistency. To get the VR feels good, right? That's it. You can just wipe your hands of the day and be like, all right, grand final. See you guys next weekend. But yeah, we'll discuss more of what happened in that game after this break. So stay tuned.
GG's. They'll get it. They'll get them one, chat. They will.
Charges, and each surfing session allows you to use 50 of those before needing a 5-second cooldown. While this is a good option for early game or even as a last resort, high-level competitive players tend to choose other options, since you're still exposed to getting shot at while using this item. This is why we won't see many players in FNCS using this item unless it's right off spawn or for a desperate last-ditch escape. A favorite amongst competitive players at all levels this season is the Mist Form. It's found all over the map and transforms you into a flock of ravens. Each flight only lasts 4 seconds and has a 20-second cooldown, but the speed and distance you can cover in that window make it one of the best rotation tools in the game. What really sets it apart is that while you're flying, you can't take any damage, not from other players or even the storm, which is why in a heal-off situation we always see top pro players using the Mist Form to avoid taking any storm damage while they look around for heals. It's also perfect for making sneaky high ground retakes in the late game. On top of that, many pro players are actually using this item defensively too, escaping box fights when things get chaotic, making this item not just about mobility, but key to survival at times. The final main mobility item that competitive players are using this season are the dashes that can be obtained by throwing down the dash sprite and entering the circle it creates. The great thing about these is that any player in the area gets 3 dashes, so your whole trio can load up with mobility at once. The dashes themselves work very similarly to the Underworld dashes from last chapter, except they will not give you full damage immunity, so watch out for that. When it comes to box fighting, some of the elite players are using these dashes to get inside of boxes when they have the upper hand in a fight. When used well, these dashes can really be one of the most valuable assets to any team's inventory. Finally, we mentioned at the beginning of the video that there's a mobility item that only one player can use, and it's Core's Shrouded Striker Medallion, which can be obtained by eliminating Core on the Rift Island. This medallion allows the user to have increased stamina, jump further, faster and higher, partial invisibility, and fall damage immunity. We often see high fragging players like Peterbot and Marius taking this, as they use it so well in endgame to dip in and out of fights, finding eliminations as they do. Sometimes top players even combine this medallion with the dashes to get full damage immunity from those too, making them a force to be reckoned with.
10 seconds, chat. Let's get it. Let's go.
In the Group 2 games. See you on the Battle Bus.
Yeah, what's that? What's that, CLIX? Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all part of the show. Oh, CLIX, my boy. All right, sorry guys, give me 1 second. All right, man, I'll talk to you later. Okay, all right, bye. Sorry that guys just got off the call with CLIX, my good friend CLIX. He said it's all part of the plan, so I believe, you know, that's what I'm gonna go ahead and hold to. Wowie, this last game was kind of crazy.
I say they pull a Poyo and win game 5.
And a second place out of the trio. If this was like grand finals, this would be like crazy, right, Kelly? Like a performance like this is next level consistency. It's awesome. We're not going to talk about the ending. We're just going to talk about how awesome they are.
I think when you look at the goal for today for all trios, the number one goal obviously is to make sure that you make it into grand finals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go for the victory royale or even going to play to the top of your ability. You just want to make sure that you make it into grand finals. And I think the second goal for this trio is to get as much possible practice as they can possibly get in a set lobby. And I think that what we saw from them on the low ground, their ability to kind of control the low and middle ground, get all these eliminations, prove themselves as being kind of the kings of this zone, is all that matters in the grand scheme of things, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to kind of see them play this game out, right? Just dominating the lower ground time and time again, finding the box-to-box fights that they have won and just so cohesive as a trio. And just a great call from them as well, right? Picking up those eliminations and then instantly investing those refreshes onto the higher ground. They just picked the right moment, and it was awesome to see, right? And it's kind of like they had like an insider or something like that, right? Because we were watching King and Co up on the high ground, and they were like running low on mats. They were not picking up any refreshes up there on the high ground. And then it was like as soon as they got down to like single-digit builds, CLIX's trio instantly went up for it, and it was a pretty easy high ground take for them.
And yet again, chat, they're still 4th.
Awesome.
Come on now, CLIX. You got to break that 4th wall. Come on, got to break that barrier, man. We can't see you sticking around in 4th anymore. We got to see you on top of the leaderboard, man. Come on, get up there.
So, I'm not super worried. Everything's fine. This is all according to plan. Practice is good. Let's talk about King, though. My gosh, once again, I mean, we're just going to continue to talk about how incredible they were, right? Game 1, 3rd place, 6 elims. Then game 2 was 4th with 8th, and now we just got a 3rd place with 10 eliminations. So they continue to rack up just like a little bit more and more and more of these eliminations. I feel like, yeah, this is a performance, right? I'm excited to see if they make it through the grand finals, like what this looks like in grand. Does this change the landscape in NA at all?
I don't know if it necessarily changes the landscape in NA, especially depending on where they're dropping compared to where other trios are dropping in North America, especially the Tier 1 trios. But what I love to see from this is how they're shaking up the high ground control. We usually see teams around Zone 8, Zone 9 being the early high ground control, but King's trio are taking zone or high even earlier than that. And while we were watching those games, Vivid, even Zeke was like, what's this surge tower, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't a surge tower. This is just kind of how they like to control high ground. They do it early. Even if zone doesn't pull in their favor in the half in, half out, they still move to control high ground from there. But we've seen just what a deficit, especially when it comes into materials, that causes for them. However, it's worked out for them in the past. They were even able to take down Peterbot's trio in the performance evaluation cups holding high ground. So I think that it just didn't necessarily go exactly the way that they wanted to. But for me, Vivid, I love to see just any kind of variation we get from high ground. And that's what Phaser, PHZen, and King are doing.
Yeah, I mean, and besides, Zeke saying blah, 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 he also was talking about how they were ramping up those eliminations. And I got to say, I actually kind of got to critique the trio on that, right? Because it's like, yeah, we jumped into the end game, right? And it was like 9 zones. They had 8 eliminations. They were doing great in that regard. And then during the maroon zones, there were just no eliminations. They didn't find any. If we think about the game before, right, with Kanata, Bolt, and Rapid, right, they had somebody down there picking up those eliminations, but this trio was just not finding them. They did not get the refreshes, and so that way they could not end up holding the higher ground in the end. Zeke, I see you, bro.
Hey, whoa. This is my show, Vivid. Okay, Fortnite fam, I'm going to have a little talk with our analysts, okay? For now, we're going to go in a game. When we come back, they're going to be set straight. Okay, Casters, over to you. I'm going to talk to you.
Is that our show? Is that Zeke's show? Or is this the people's show, Monster? There's 2 games left. Time truly flies when you're having fun, but the closer you are to the top of the leaderboard, the more flexibility you have in your game plan, kind of business as usual. The further down you go, depending on your point deficit, you have to make these next 2 games count. And the battle bus is ready, so let's get right into it.
That's right, we're at the tail end of the event day now. Game 4 is here. After that will be game number 5, and Group 2 will be wraps. You know.
All right, chat. Game 4. Let's get it. Let's go. Come on now, CLIX. Get up in there, man.
Shenanigans today. I think everyone's gonna lock in, and then you see game 3, and it is just very clear that everyone's here to get the best practice in as possible, preparing up for, of course, globals, and then this major here. Talk about good prac, though. Resistance base under fire right now. Mud, Sphinx, and Shadow have a little bit of a contestation going on here.
Scratching my head just a little bit, but one's already going to get knocked. Sphinx dropped to just a little bit of HP, but luckily for him, he does have the minis on the other side. And Dentic with no builds, he's just trying to back up, reposition. Even with one of his teammates knocked, you know there's so many different tunnels, there's so many different pathways to try to hide in, and it's a surprise contestation, so Shadow, Sphinx, and Muzz may not necessarily be ready for something like this to go all out and clean that one up.
Yeah, I thought it was going to all go downhill after Sphinx got tagged up like that, but just barely inching away, and then somehow turning this whole thing around. They get the knock. And Muzz trying to see if he can open up some big tags here.
Shadow jumping around. They're essentially full health, especially after this big pot. Just letting time pass. They know exactly where these players are at, and they're pushing forward just enough to make sure they cannot solidify a revive if it does come down to it. But he's nowhere in sight. And this is where they're trying to use their numbers, pouncing on him one after the next, just trying to bake through the guilds, get as much control. And now, Monster, they even have them separated into 2 different individuals.
I like this. You know, I've been a big fan of Shadow for several years now. A fun story of coming across him way back in the day. I met him when he was 13 at his first in-person event. Look at how far he has come now as he's continued to just work his way up, and time again now fighting his way through. I think this is the first time I've actually seen him alongside some pretty heavy hitters, you know, with Muzz here. Sphinx, obviously someone who's continued to trend up as far as his overall, you know, confidence and finals go. Very nice to see them survive that drop here and continue to fight their way through it.
Yeah, I feel like every year there's some, I wouldn't say unknown names, but relatively names that people may not necessarily have a lot of stock in. But Curly as well, we're going to be able to see him tomorrow. One of the newer players kind of getting that shine, and Shadow as well getting that shine, being able to play with some of the best. And even on West, you got Victor B playing with the 6-time FNCS champion Epic well, but Lone Wolf from game to game, still going to be contested. This time around, though, King does look like he's going to be the first one to drop. PH Sin getting pressured. This one does not look good because that's going to be a full wipe. No knocks there on a PH Sin.
Yeah, you know, that game just prior was definitely close. You know, it wasn't the cleanest off jump for them. It doesn't surprise me that they fall here, but it's also just a sign that they got to work on that early game drop, especially if they want to be fighting for Lone Wolf Lair potentially at the next major finals. As we know, I mean, that could be any one of our top trio teams that are going to be looking to take that. I know, obviously, CLIX has been a fan of it, but they've kind of moved over to the Supernova Academy, so, yeah, I don't know just yet.
I like the idea around this. You know, Demon's Domain is going to be contested, and that main building is where both of the teams will particularly fight it out more times than not, whether you're splitting the top and the bottom. But that gives that third team, that third party, a chance to kind of loot the outskirts, cut off the path, get some loot for themselves, and potentially how they play it, possible elimination. But enough for the niceties. CLIX, Iamzo Higgs looking to get a little bit aggressive here in the early game from Supernova Academy. And this is the team right here that was just contesting Lone Wolf Lair, so now they have an opportunity to jump on him while they might be a little discombobulated.
Yep, I like it. They're moving really quickly here. CLIX with the cone up right there to catch Jacob. Nice and easily done there for themselves. They make quick work of the first player here. Comes the redash up. Just using, you know, this kind of material like this, they have no care in the world. They've obviously done more than enough today, and this is just all to keep the blade nice and sharp here. Gonna go against the best in the lobby, but Jake and Dogo obviously now on the run.
Yeah, typically I would say I don't like using the launch pad, but because exactly that reason. But you really have no other options, no dash sprites, no misform. if you're trying to go ahead and create distance, that might have been the only option, but another one's going to get taken down. So essentially, Doggo is going to be the last one alive over towards Lone Wolf Lair. He has no choice but to kind of sit and wait. Hopefully, he has at least one of those reboot cards of his first teammate that went down, because the clock has started for the second.
Yeah, this is interesting. I know, like, obviously, CLIX, and Higgs are kind of messing around, having fun here, but, like, keying to this drop here, I would not doubt is obviously one of the cards up their sleeve here. Come for finals, so it's just a cautionary tale of what could be to come. Dogo hides out, though. It seems like he might actually get away with it. As the time kind of clicks on here. Yeah, they're not going to find him.
Yamza just has a sense. I didn't see him run away. He's probably scratching his head right now. I don't see him lurking around. It's not like even a spotty audio visual. What about here? What about the ammo? He's going back, just trying to get... Because remember, this is a team, they used to land at Lone Wolf Lair a few seasons ago, so they kind of have a lot of familiarity with this spot already. Ooh.
Yamza, come on, look how sus. It's the only closed door on both sides, bro. He's got to be in there.
Hey, this is a 1v1 for Doggo as well. Well-placed shot into the Fury AR because he does have a gold. It's your only chance, Doggo. Go. Okay, I just want to know, who has more patience here, Yamza or Doggo?
Definitely Doggo. He's got no reason to run right now. So funny. It's like a straight out of a movie right there. He uses the ability on the pistols there. Well played.
Not too far off from Utopia. Seek, Joji, Donnie. Rotating away from Shining Span this time around. They had the advantage to kind of hold on to it for as long as possible in game one. We're seeing a lot of action kind of break down early on in these games from week to week. Tony able to get that elimination onto Evan, adding to their Storm Surge, being able to kind of get a little bit more loot underneath their hands, and Willers is going to go down as well. So already 2 players on that team down and out.
This is a continuation here for Creon, Noisy, and Tony. Just seems game after game they've got Steam's number on their back, but now Zone's kind of pushing through. Looking to kind of take this one on later. Coming back into it, though. Take a look from Tony's perspective. How things kind of unfolded here in the replay. Big knock there. Just kind of kicking things off here at the pump power. And it was just a matter of repositioning for them. They didn't want to be the team kind of getting lurked on there. Pyro's going to be the one left behind now. Just 3 tags for them, though.
Just kind of looking overall after, what, 3 games so far. Creon, 4th place on the overall damage leaderboard. Just under 3,000 damage. It's just... The thing that I think that's been ailing them is the inability to get inside of the top 10. They have a 10th, a 15th, a 14th. They have 12 eliminations combined throughout all 3 of those games. So they have the blueprint down, and they're just outside of that top 10 bubble. So they just need to make these last 2 games count. They don't need to go all out, necessarily win, even though that would make it easier. But they just need to consistently find a way to get into the top 8 in these next 2 games with the eliminations that they've had so far.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's 2 ways to get through. If winning the game feels out of the question, it's staying consistent. It's going to get your ticket to the dance next. Mukata. Eyes on Muskie here. He's on the run right now. 81 points for this trio. Not bad at all. They've managed to remain relatively consistent overall. Oh, they spotted out, though. What they had was the advantage, but got a little too close to the sun there. Feel the heat firing back now. Things kind of break out. They got a nice spread, though. Still, they don't know exactly where Kingston's at as he kind of opens side fire there. So still the advantage in the hands of Annex here for now.
Yeah, finally Kingston's position is going to be revealed by Annex. They do have a decent amount of loot, so Annex not going to have too much troubles getting up to 200 effective shield and HP. This kind of opens up the spot over here on this side of the map, though, due to Mason, Golden, and Chimp qualifying. Kind of Shiny Shaft is no more, so there's a lot of space between Outlaws, Oasis, Shiny Shaft, the surrounding land left of Crime City as well, and that's where you're seeing a lot more people feeling a little bit more to kind of move over in that direction, make it a focal part of their strategy, knowing there's not as many players over there as there once was. Status already down, listed in haze. On the low ground, forced to kind of wait in this situation. They could try to disengage down below and try to get out towards the southwestern part of the map, but it all really depended if they have the reboot card or not.
CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo a fight right now. Once again, just staying active now with the brutal boxcars here. So from one team fight to the next, you can see they've kind of loosened up the gears here and now. Keeping the action, keeping the pace, the narrative straightforwards. They want to fight right now. Stay sharp here and keep the entertainment flowing. Everyone at home. 3 eliminations now for the team.
They're looking for those other ones. This is like back-to-back games. They pushed over towards brutal boxcars. They used that rail. Literally just landed right on top or close by. Flurry's just getting a flurry of shots fired in his direction by Yamzo, keeping the pressure up. 50 shots with that Spire AR. They're just able to endlessly spray 4 days as Flurry. That's going to be the first one gone, or I should say second one out of this fight. Zift, he's just trying to create as much distance as possible, but that exotic pistol just dealing so much damage and helping CLIX close the distance again. Even with the dashes, they're just hot on the heels. This is elimination points. This is one step closer to placement points, and it's all that loot and more as you see them inching that much closer to upgrading their superhero rank yet again.
Yeah, just a couple moments away now. But roughly a half elimination, maybe you might take them straight into the next ranking, but pay attention here as Noisy, Creon, and Tony just time and time again, zone fights, different teams, no matter where they go. This time at the Supernova Academy, there's a lot of leftover loot here. Don't forget, CLIX's team just ransacked this super quickly and moved straight into the Lone Wolf layer, so all these team here's have a lot to work with. Knock.
Seeing some stats right now. Noisy, Creon, Tony, they've taken 9 ticks of Storm Surge throughout these games so far. So you're seeing they're really just trying to make it count. They've taken the most storm damage, I think, out of the entire lobby, matter of fact. And you're seeing it's a huge part of their game plan, sticking so long in the zone. That's how they're finding eliminations. That's how they're finding damage for Storm Surge. But look at what it costs. They're already down at least one of their team members, kind of forced on the back foot. You see one of them disengaging back over to their regular POI pump power. Tony's trying to go over to Supernova Academy in just 2 separate directions. And I would say the blessing is, though, there's just 2 teams there as well. So this overall monster was a 3-team battle.
Yeah, that was personal for Tony. He's like, all right, you got my guy. I'm just going to sit here and look for the ambush and try to, turn the tide for them. But Dozier's team managed to do well. They live to see another day. Seems like Tony, Noisy end up regrouping there on the rotate out, so they're going to be long gone here. But for Evan, oh, what did you do? There's nothing you can do there. Kind of repositions, gather some data for a second.
He was able to get close to his team. Now they cut up on the other angle. Nice shot on Dozier to take down Willers, trying to even it up into a 2v2. Not able to save the day on his teammate just yet. They got funneled around the outside, but he boxes it up, but no, bites off just a little bit more than he could chew. Dozier's going to go down, but Kyra loses another one of his teammates. That's Zusto that gets taken out, so it's a 1v1 effectively, and just in the distance at Supernova, there's still 3 more teams.
Carbone with a dash in all of a sudden. Almost catches kind of fully off guard there. Little miss for him to go in and reposition up. Gets the high ground. Here comes a chase from Carbone. He's got him exactly where he wants him, but this trio coming through. It's Tony back in the reboot too, so they might just be the last trio who walks away happy here. And there's another team in the Supernova Academy. Okay, I don't know what's happening here actually. I take it all back. 2 more teams have shown up from the southern area straight into the Supernova. Okay, one of them is CLIX, by the way. So I guess they did not forget how much loot they left behind.
That's actually a very good amount of elimination, or information, I should say, for them towards the backside of the zone, because it's still pulling towards the south. So they can make one of two decisions. Continue on with the game plan, rotate south, depending on how far the actual zone is, or just wait. Whatever team comes out of zone is going to have to run into them, or they go all the way around over that mountaintop, and if they don't have heals, it's probably not going to be a possibility. So the cards have been dealt. Higgs, CLIX, and Yams are the ones that get the better hand.
Yeah, they were probably thinking, oh, let's go back. Let's get some A-rank chests, you know? And then all of a sudden there's like mad action at the Supernova kind of in the zone there. So yeah, no sense in sticking around for too much longer. He's trying to devolve quickly here on the feed as you watch Batman Joe and crew jump in, taking out Fade's trio here. The southernmost portion of the map here to kind of round out zone 4.
Tough couple eliminations there. Game 4, 2 games left. This one, whatever's kind of remaining, and then one more to kind of close out the day. So I feel like a good portion of the teams, you know, if they find themselves falling short of that victory royale, you kind of see the proactivity in terms of aggression. They're just trying to close that point gap as much as possible to give themselves a final fighting chance if nothing goes right here. Revive comes in, Nerf face, fresh off the reboot. Well, still meets the same demise. He's going to get dropped down low. He can't even go down there without getting eliminated altogether, but that's exactly what's going to happen either way. But it's just so Zemo can get the reboot card yet again. A perfect play. If you're going to go down either way, Monster, at least make it easier on your teammates.
Yeah, you saw Batman Joe thought about it, second-guessed himself. Yeah, I'm not jumping down there. You know, you could have that siphon loot. It ain't worth that much to me. Kind of calls it a day there. You know, it's the little things that definitely, you know, allow you to kind of go further in this game.
Bryce, Dash, and Skittles, just judging by the loadout, they have that mythic DMR. Well, Skittles is still back on the island, so you got to have the medallion as well. And they have good position over control of the Foxy Floodgates Mountains for Skittles. He's just trying to use that misform so that way he does not take that wind tunnel down. Because if he did, it would just kind of leave him susceptible to taking a ton of damage from the players in the surrounding lobby. He's just trying to recharge, reunite with the rest of his team. Trying to see who is out. Oh, exactly what I said, Monster. Just wait. Whoever's going to be coming out of zone, well, we got your number. And that's Carbone, kind of meets his demise. But it's just a down, so his teammates have a chance to get him back.
Take a look at Cease here after losing Nerface, and then Zemo. He's in a one-on-one up against Listen right now on the other side of the wall. Nesmus is obviously resetting this entire fight here. Oh, and the big pot comes through, so advantage is going to go to Listen here. Great pre-fire there, straight onto Cease. Cease has to hold that one right now and force the back off here.
This is essentially both of these players, both Cease and Listen as solos. Last chance really to kind of leave it up to consistency. You go down here, you might just be too far where you might need a win either way to catch up in terms of those points. But Cease just left down to bandages every 3 seconds, 15 HP. Listen going through the same thing on the other side. Now Listen is fresh out, so he's officially going to be put on the clock. But instead of going through that tunnel dangerously in towards Cease, he just tried to reposition, go elsewhere, but I might have been wrong. He turns around, he's out of bandages, so he needs this siphon if he's looking to stay alive. It's all or nothing for Listen.
No, good read by Cease, but Cease is definitely weaker here, but Listen's got that pressure on his back right now. 2-tick really starting to add up here. Cease gets the first bandage off. Here comes the siphon opportunity. You got to hit this once he comes out of misform or it's game. He blocks him, and the edit very cleanly done by Cease. Then just sits there and catches the loot. He won't be rewarded with any extra heals, but the storm sickness, are you kidding?
No.
He was in there the whole time.
How long?
Man.
That's 500 damage of storm that Cease took in the early game with the rest of his team to go down to storm sickness. Now both him and Listen going to leave it up to a last game miracle to try to qualify for the grand finals. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck in LCQ, so don't be afraid just yet. The season won't be over. It just got that much harder.
That's crazy. I think that's the first for broadcast. If you watch a fight go the distance this kind of early, you want to call this mid-game early enough, but the full storm sickness after a clutch.
See Donnie Joji, 133. Well on pace. Can, in theory, get enough points without a win to qualify through consistency, or at least put themselves that far into the bubble. No placement points just yet. Top 18. One team needs to go down. Then they'll start to cascade in with every team that does fall. Half of the Monster usually set in around the top 8. So that should be the focal point, or at least the goal for a good chunk of these teams here today.
Yeah, that's the thing. Remember, King's team is down this game, so obviously they can't secure a victory royale. They've surely got, one of the top 5 positions. If CLIX's team doesn't take a win at some point or another, these other teams are going to really come down to a limited amount of slots, if you will. So it'll be pretty contentious for the last few remaining spots if, of course, our first and second most consistent teams don't take a win here soon. But the way Yamzo, Higgs, and CLIX are playing right now, and with the lack of King in this game, I think they might have this one in the bag.
So he got 4th in game 1. He's 4th on the leaderboard. Can he win game 4? How much of number 4 is CLIX's kind of magic number, or kind of forceful number, so to say? But Tony, noisy. They lost Creon not too long ago. 93 points though here, Monster. They really got to start to make this one count. It's not too far of a rotation, but you can already see in the minimap how many other teams are already beaten to the punch.
Yeah, a lot of teams got to move. I'm looking at that Western kind of pack right there. See most already poised up for the quick rotate. Bryson Dash Skittles looking good here to kind of get to the front side first. Who's on height? Oh, it's Shadow, Muzz, Sphinx on high ground right now from contested surprise to height now.
Really talking about making games count. They started this one with 48 points in 18th place, Monster. Almost 100 points down from that bubble of where they need to go. So high ground without a couple of those teams going to contest you in this lobby. This one might be the one that they make count. Bryce Dash Skittles, they see teams right across, and they're just trying to claim space. Look how much space they've given themselves down low, all the low ground, even a tunnel on top of that one. 2 teams already setting their eyes up above. Dejan, Slick, and Jerry, they're the ones that have their heads in the clouds, though.
Yeah, Muzz's team playing second height right now. Meanwhile, Monty, pulling Scuffy, so from back and forth. Some games they kind of fell a little short. Other games they went the distance here. They find themselves in an end game sprint once again. First for Noah plays as well there. You saw with Chaos Gaming just kind of holding on here, getting pressured by the lobby. But look at this high ground hold by Dejan and Jerry. They kind of got this far positioning, full control of the sky here and now. It's kind of like an eerie silence for an end game as well. Notice how much this means really to the teams in the game, right? Everyone's just kind of vibing out, chilling, like
Ada limbs, yeah.
Need these placement points here, so very interesting kind of dynamic taking form here in game 4.
Yeah, you can see CLIX. I think he has that exotic pistol, just trying to look above. If you kind of tag those teams on the high ground, you kind of see them flying with that shockwave effect in the first and in the last bullet. Dejan kind of reconnecting their position up above. There we go, Dejan. No! It had to be him. They found him. They take him off of high ground. Now he has to find his way back while that one's getting distracted. Bryce Dash and Skittles did not lose focus of what they need, and that's the front side of zone, expending so many of their materials to try to make a safe spot happen, but they quickly become a sport focus. That's a lot that they're burning through just to maintain their position here safely.
That's what happens. You start
You can hear that exotic pistol chat.
Muzz's team, though, turns and burns and catches Dejan and Slate with some monster tags here, but Jerry holds his own for just long enough to go in and buy them some time to go ahead and kind of recover, but seems like they're running out of material here as the lobby has not really been forgiving to them. There it is, front side, Sphinx takes it, Muzz kind of cranks his way on up, and all of a sudden they are in control, but Sphinx gets sent out through the sidelines there. Meanwhile, Higgs, CLIX, and Yamzo crumbling down low. Dejan is going to fall to Higgs here. It's all up to him. CLIX has got a slither of HP. Down goes Higgs. What just happened there?
Oh, no. Everybody's feeling that same struggle. Even Sphinx is down. They're going for the triple reboot. That's CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs fully eliminated out of game 4. Maybe
dang.
Number anymore, but up above, they got their
Dang, chat. CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs is out. Come on, Muzz. I need to get a win.
Looks behind, Rehan tries to go for a sneaky play, but not today. Denied that opportunity once, but he has team. Backup is there. It does look like they're trying to concede it, give it up. 10 HP on the Shadow. They cannot hold on to what was theirs.
Just a little bit more laser left in the tank here for Muzz, but Muzz is going to have to give it up. Shadow's got no HP. Osu, well played for them to actually secure this high ground. And you know what? They are racking up eliminations as well. They're looking to put a stamp on it. They need the win just as much as anyone else. And we thought Muzz's team might have gotten a free ride to the end game, but no, not today. They're going to have to fight for it. Muzz is
down.
Falls there to the hands of Bryce Dash of Skittles.
Hey.
Just played a little more consistently from the low ground now. Here comes the decision to go for the
I figured Muzz and then would at least get a win.
Other two out to the front side. Meanwhile, a new team is now taking height here, Jacob.
But I mean, anything can happen. There's still one more game, one more round.
Same thing, but they got it intact in the front side of the zone. Seek just going around towards the outside. He has very minimal builds, and he's getting burned through by the high ground. Now they're stuck down below, but they find a clear-cut elimination on the Scuffies. One that's absolutely necessary. Now they have the Siphon Mats and at least something to work with, but no, he dropped his shotgun monster.
That was a huge mistake there. But look at this. Donnie's still going. It doesn't matter. Seek and Donnie are still turning online now. And there is still that trio way up top. Can they mitigate this fall damage that's going to come here? The chop comes down.
Whoa, what's up, TT? How you doing?
Front side takes a little bit of damage. Misform from Rebel. Seek down low. Tries to buy himself some time. Swings around the top side. But Batman Joe has to get the shot there. He finds one. Boxes him up. Cones up. Donnie slips out. Just so smoothly played there. But Zach was there to meet him up top.
What a wild end game right there. Jeez, that's good, man. I'm glad you're doing all right.
Finals there. What a game, Jacob.
Yeah, Slepsies, Batman Joe, and Zach found themselves starting in 9th place on the leaderboard coming into this game with 97 points. They were consistent with 2 games, 5th and 6th place, but now they have capped it off with a big win here and clutched up one of those spots to the grand finals.
Very nicely done. And, you know, you couldn't have really called who was going to win that game. It was so crazy in the end there. I know everyone was just kind of rooting for Muzz for a moment, but all of a sudden there were other teams that were super hungry to kind of turn online, and this is what we've been waiting for from this group this entire time. Who was going to fight for height and actually take this victory royale? Clearly, this is a fast track to the finals. From Zach's perspective, it looked pretty chill as he had enough time to kind of pick up his siphon there and fight his way back in. Donnie just had no idea where to turn at that point. What a game for Sleepsy, Zach, and Batman Joe. Congratulations there, match number 4. Zeke, what else do you got for us now?
Bro, this is exciting, right? That game is...
All right, chat. One more matchup.
More and more chaotic as we've gone on, which feels like it shouldn't be the case, right? Because whenever a trio gets VR, like that's one less trio in the lobby, and yet they are still more and more chaotic, Kelly. But still, for the trio, they're going to grand finals, right? Again, they wipe their hands. They say, hey, look, with a single game left to go, we got it. We're making it through. And I love that Jacob kind of pointed out their placement coming into this, because their game 2 at 28th place with no elims, really tough, right? And then you kind of go like, all right, our backs are kind of slowly getting pushed against the wall now. We really need to make something happen. And game 4 to do it before it's all over, Kelly, I'm good. You know, I'm good with that. That's fine.
I mean, you talk about placements within this game in group number 2, but for me, I'm looking at placements as a whole. They were one of the last teams to qualify through the play-ins, and in fact, only Zach has one FNCS finals appearance. So Slep and Batman Joe, incredibly green players, to see them all come together now and be able to not just enter into the group stages, but to get a win off of some really big names. Vivid, that is how you want to start your FNCS journey.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff. Incredible way to go ahead and make it into your first FNCS finals. And I love the fact that Kelly pointed out, yeah, taking down big names in the mix there as well. One of the key moments of the game, obviously, them taking the higher ground for Muzz's trio right there. Incredible work for them. I thought Muzz had that game in the bag as soon as he finally came out of the scuffle that ended up happening on the higher ground when Degen kind of fell off of it. But yeah, incredible pickup from this trio right there. And then even in the end, right, beating up on Donnie at the end there. Good work from this trio.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Once again, Grand Finals is their next stop for us. Our next stop is a short break. When we return, though, the last game out of group number 2. We need to win and we're in, or we need to end in the top 5 in consistency. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss the last game.
choose if I'm to go. Leave me in the zone, I take your mind and then I snatch your soul. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. I get it, they love my whole steady. But guys don't listen, told you this ain't hypothetical. Answer the call, prove this once and for all. Can't reach me with an arrow, summer nights I never fall. No cattle, the goat don't wear a saddle. Go riders off my body, cut them off, they yucky sloppy. Already, I consume the petty. The vision's 2020, believe your eyes are winning. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. It's a rap, got the match, build like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than adios. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. Up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known.
So the trios in this lobby, they only have one thing on the mind, and that is to go harder than how to go! Welcome back to the FNCS. We are here with a single game left to go. It's a win and you're in, get a VR, straight to grand finals, or end in the top 5 in consistency, which is basically like the top 10 when we're looking at the standings, but we'll spell it all out for you when the time comes. Guys, a single game left to go. We wanted to talk about Donnie and company. These guys are putting on quite the show. Seek Joji, they're kind of going crazy. 205 points, which to me feels like a really great place to be going into that last game. As long as we don't make any mistakes, right, Kelly? As long as everything's cool, everything's chill, we just keep doing our consistent thing, we should be in.
Yeah, as far as mistakes go, I haven't seen too many come out of this trio right now. They are playing the low ground so well. There was a moment there where they're kind of playing the low, sticking to the front side, and they were ping-ponging back and forth between storm and zone, making sure that they are taking as little damage from players and kind of forgoing, instead going towards the storm damage instead, and that allowed them to be able to survive this low ground for so long with practically zero mats, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, incredible stuff for them. I feel like every single time we kind of tune into an end game, it feels like Donnie's like that solo that's just left alive, trying to pull up some incredible clutch like every single time. And for every single time, it kind of looks possible, right? He's really doing his best, putting up a fight in every single scenario right there. So incredible stuff out of him, and all of his efforts, and of course his trios as well, are going to be putting them in 3rd place on that consistency leaderboard. So they should be sitting pretty comfortable, I would imagine, at 205 points going into the last game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we only had one kind of questionable game, right, which was their first game. They came in 14th place, no eliminations. But, you know, again, I'm kind of curious to see, because you kind of mentioned the fact that Donnie's left alone. We've seen them a couple times now being like a duo situation, and then, yeah, it kind of goes down to Donnie. So I would love to kind of see them, like, sure up whatever that is going into grand finals, right? Because, look, we're playing for a global championship spot, right? Like, we got to make sure we are playing at our absolute peak going into the last game. Now, of course, as we look, 124 points is 11th place. So that, think about that as like 6th place, okay? Think about basically if we end in the top 10, that's our top 5. So the difference between 10 and 11th right now is only 2 points. And then from 10th up to 9th, obviously the 161 to 126. So it's going to come down to the wire here for a lot of these trios.
Yeah, especially with how top-heavy the top of our placement leaderboard is, you know, from CLIX's trio in 5th going down to even Skittles' trio down in 8th place. They have such a bigger jump than what we see Noisy, Creon, and Tony in. Honestly, there are so many trios that could easily take away the 10th place spot. But I think as far as looking at Skittles, Dash, and Bryce right now, they are sitting relatively confidently in our 8th place for the leaderboard. And as far as they're playing on the low ground, this is, you know, something that we kind of expect to see out of them. Bryce is an incredible player. I've been watching him for so long, especially back when it was Bryce and Bolts, and I kind of like to see that Bryce is locked back in, and we're starting to see that now in these games over the last few weeks. They haven't been exactly where they want to be, but I think that they're starting to kind of heat things up. But is it too little too late, Vivid?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be sitting pretty comfortable as well. We've talked about a couple of trios that are kind of doing well on that leaderboard. Now it's time to talk about a trio that I think a lot of us would have expected to be doing a little bit better right now, right? Muzz's trio right now kind of struggling, not even in that top 10 right there. So they're going to need an incredible last game, whether that be just, second place, a lot of eliminations, or of course that guaranteed win qualification going into the grand finals. But with that being said, there's going to be a lot of other teams also kind of looking towards that win, right? Anybody kind of lower towards the, the back end of that leaderboard.
I mean, yeah, Muzz right now is tied up with Noah W Plays for 102 points right now, which is well within reach of being able to break into that top 10, but there's just only so many trios that can make it into the grand final. Zeke, at some point, we have to cut it off.
Yeah, that is tough, but just think, right? If someone in that top, 10 gets a VR, then the whole lobby is going to go up a placement, right? So the game's not done. For Muzz and company, we come in right now, we just have a really stellar game. We could look to potentially make that top 5, but anything goes. One game left to go. How does it all end? Let's find out. Casters, over to you.
I don't want this to end. Let's just do another 5 games, but it is here, Monster, the last game of the day, and honestly, the implications of what could go down, going down early, getting a few more eliminations, winning the game could just change up so much.
Yeah, well, luck for us. Tomorrow we got Group 3, so it's not over this weekend just yet. But yeah, you know what? The biggest difference is going to come down to this last game, so let's jump on the battle bus.
All right, chat, let's get it. Let's go with that last game. Come on, CLIX. Y'all got to get that VR. I mean, you ain't got to. Y'all shoe in, but I'd like to see you get the dub. Now, let's get it. Let's go.
Essentially, you're hoping a team in that top, the 200-point threshold range, one of those guys win a game, because otherwise it is looking like a mile and a half between 190 and everyone else down below. So realistically, at this point, I think those top positions are pretty secured, and you might be fighting for 2 spots.
And I see it right now. I see one of the best drop spots on the map. Formerly a Batman Joe, Zax, and Slepsy. Brutal boxcars, uncontested. I was thinking, who might move over there? There's so many still contested fights going on, and now one of the best spots opened up, and nobody's going to take it. And with everything on the line right here, Jake, Doggo, Oakrun, they have to come out on top in this if they want to keep their FNCS alive here this weekend.
Oh, that's one down already. Jake falling to the hands of PHN. He got the shotgun first, put some significant damage down. Phaser punts down Oakrun on the backside of the zone there as well. And all of a sudden, Lone Wolf player looking to get cleaned up pretty quickly here. King's got the last player. I thought he had in his sights, but it seems like they just lost him for a second there. Look at that. They're back like they never left. And you know what? That's going to be a huge upset for everyone else in the lobby. We just talked about how much of a difference maker they were. When PHN, King, and Phaser are in the lobby, those end games look way more contested, if you will, because they're a team they don't stop the action, right, on all the layers. They clearly know how to handle themselves. So this is going to be a very good game now, given that they're going to be in the lobby.
Yeah, this is almost like a blessing and a curse for the lobby, because they're already inside of that bubble, 200-plus points already. So all they have to do is win, which frees up a spot at the bottom of the leaderboard. Easier said than done, though, because every team that they take down is a dream that they're crushing and forcing another set of players into that last chance qualifier. Well, only 3, Monster. Only 3 will make it out and advance to the grand finals.
I was just looking at the map trying to see if CLIX and crew were going to make that fast dash south, but it seems like they're kind of going back to the old trusty loot their drop strategy. Meanwhile, K's son kind of taking the fight here. They end this one pretty quickly. Fade, Tofi, and Bolt kind of jumped in here as well. So Demon's Domain having a lot of action right now come the last game. So seems like everyone's got the gloves off here. Alexson and K's getting their potential first set of Elim points here in quite a few rounds.
Ooh, nice, because Tofi hit a nice shot underneath. He takes on a good amount of damage from the second one as well, if they can somehow close out this 2v2, but Suns is there. That's the 3rd member of this trio closing in on this distance and giving them a huge numbers advantage in this fight. Couple Sentinel pumps going down, passing around the Chug as well. There's big pots, so that early game damage that they just got, Monster out the window, no longer in existence.
Yeah, I was going to say, the ambush was their best bet there, kind of evening things up a little bit, kind of slowing one out the fight, but yeah, Alex Tung's team might just respect it and put it all on the line for the dub now. I gotta say, seeing that Super Sprite make it to the end game last game was definitely exciting in the hands of Muzz from the high ground. Super destructive, but it's one of those things like, how do you justify carrying that over misforms or dashes? You kind of can't, right? You want the mobility in most cases, but that high ground with that laser is pretty strong.
Shreds through builds. It makes it that much easier for the Spire and the Fury to break its way through. As Void, Cash percent just trying to disengage altogether towards the outside. Shiny Shafts. I kind of spoke about this earlier. One of the teams, Golden, Mason, and Chimp, qualifying from this spot on the map. It did free it up, but it was only for so long before more and more teams took notice and kind of took that position away. And it almost makes me kind of wonder, is anybody going to be brave enough to go over to Brutal, or is CLIX, Yamzo, and Higgs going to get back-to-back uncontested POIs? We'll see there shortly, but Noah plays CLIX Chaos Gaming, 102 points. They have two big scenarios here for qualifying Monster. They either get in through that victory royale. That one's going to be hard, but still easy at the same time. Otherwise, you're playing a huge math game throughout the course of this game, watching your elimination feed, hoping those players above you go down relatively early, or at least outside of the top 17.
Yeah, that problem is there's like 60 points separating them, so they really need to get that team that was holding fifth kind of out of the equation. Otherwise, I mean, the gap is pretty significant, and it's going to require a huge end game for most of these teams. I mean, even Creon, Tony, and Noisy, although they have, mathematically better odds here, it's still quite a stretch. It's not going to be easy by any imagination.
Just trying to look at, the storm damage overall, and it's still Tony, Noisy, and Creon. Almost 1,000 more storm damage than the second place team. It just goes to show that their whole game plan of today's tournament revolves around finding some teams in storm, getting damage, and realistically, Monster, those are the isolated fights that you do have with less chance of those third parties closing in. It's Annex team on top of the peak of that mountain, just trying to use that elevation advantage for as long as possible, especially if the zone allows it and rotates those teams in their direction.
Getting a little update here from Higgs. Checking out their overall situation. Team spotted up north. They're going right back into the action here. We've already got one of possibly the two, but no, this is actually a fresh team. This Dozier's trio.
You want to know why I know they want to fight him? That Superman Sprite in Higgs' inventory. That he's going to use that to break through some of these builds and try to get damage that much easier. CLIX already starting the fight, getting that first knock on the Dozier. And you're seeing both of those remaining members of that team disperse into two different directions. One towards the resistant phase, one all the way towards the north. That way, if they do get chased down, that kind of ups their chance at survival. Maybe one of them's able to get the reboot cards on back. We'll figure out if they can even get their first teammate back here shortly.
Another standoff here on the outer edge. So Creon's team kind of gave up their position to chase even further, and now there's another team watching in the distance, getting ever so closely. Always just got to finish this fight quick. Face the wrath of a new team right now. There it is. They start to turn online here. Oh, it's Degen's team is down on the low ground right now.
Yeah, it might be Degen, Slate, and Jerry, and you're seeing them trying to separate themselves. They probably heard the footsteps, the audio visuals of that third-party team closing in, so they're just trying to move their way on out. Kind of let the other team down below take a lot of that distraction. But Tony hasn't fully gotten out just yet. He's still creeping through, gathering this information, the intel. Is it something that he wants to lurk around, maybe try to find an easy one-shot on either one of these trios?
Nice little tag right there. You see Tentic, Mono, Yinks, like not even trying to move right now. They've had a bit of a tough time today, finding themselves scoring anything here so far. Noisy, Tony, and Creon kind of waiting this one out, trying to see what this other team wants to do. No one's really pulling the trigger just yet. Catch up with Phaser, Pigeon, and King right now. Lone Wolf Lair kind of just on the outskirts here.
wondering, is that the same solo from the beginning? Chances are it is. And then, what are the odds he has both of those reboot cards in his inventory, having to wait there for as long as he had up until this point? This does look like King Phaser gets in, rotating over towards Brutal Boxcars. That Spire is up for them to try to get not only XP, but the amount of loot that you're able to get before they continue to rotate towards the south, because that's exactly where the zone is pulling yet again.
Yeah, gotta get moving here. They're playing the outsides. They're looking for teams so they can get some damage right on these outskirts here. Those late movers, Dash, Bryce, and Skittles. It's that third overall positioned trio in the lobby who's played so exceptionally well today. So keeping us in the running.
Yeah, they already have the island locked down. They have the medallion. They have the extra heals. And now they're setting up. It's almost similar to what we've seen in Group 1 with Agers, Acorn, and Poyo in kind of a line formation. Two different surge towers. They're using the island as well just to give so much elevation advantage. And they're basically at the edge of zone, knowing all teams are going to have to rotate to them. So as long as they wait, be patient, they will have those opportunities. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo just get torn apart. Higgs dropped down to 97 HP. CLIX knocked all together. Yamzo's just trying to be the hero. There's only so much one person could take, especially with the Superman Sprite beaming its way through those builds. That's Muzz. We saw them earlier on in a contested fight to start the tournament off.
Shadow Sphinx holding it down so far. Muzz having a reset here. Higgs and Yamzo left on a back foot. CLIX already kind of falls right now, so it seems like they rotated kind of into the wrong team right now. Yamzo, Higgs likely want nothing to do with this. They definitely have picked up the card. We talked about that, you know, Superman Sprite coming into handy, but it's almost as if Higgs is not even conditioned to use it. There it is. Now, starting to think about it, but no, this is actually Muzz's trio who's, you know, clearly comfortable with utilizing it. Muzz seems to be a favorite of the lasers. Yeah, they're going to be pretty good with that. In any case, a 2v3 against Yamzo Higgs is no easy battle. Gotta respect them. So off they go.
Yeah, that's kind of the mind games, because even with that elimination, you see them move up to like 105 points, kind of slowly making their way up the top of the leaderboard, but they have to essentially be close to perfect in order to get the qualification spot here through the group stages. A couple mishaps in games 1 and 2 kind of put their backs up against the wall, really forced to perform here in the last and final game of the day. Donnie, Joji, Seek, close to some historic or honestly entertaining clutches here today, but with or without those 205 points, all but got their spot secured as well. And we talk about a few of these teams, you know, CLIX's team, this team here, if they win the game, that opens up a spot at the bottom, kind of alleviating some of the stresses of some of these others.
Yeah, Gots, look at the zone right here. This is the first we've seen it pull this far south. Oh, and it's going to continue to do that. Okay, so we're getting some serious elevation in this end game. This is going to be a wild one for sure. I expect not many to survive the highs and lows that are going to come here. You know, it makes you wonder, like, the more difficult terrain to play probably just favors people that have been here before, right? Those seasoned trios even more, because there's so much learnings that you take from those more difficult end games. But let's catch up with Yamzo, Higgs, and CLIX. So they got
wow. Lead the lobby in limbs, damage, builds, distance, and 12 other categories. CLIX, Higgs, and Yamzo. Oh, that's crazy. 15 categories that they beat the whole lobby in right now. That's crazy, chat.
For them, it's all about proving a point, making a statement here today. And I think teams have been sleeping on them the past couple days as possible FNCS champions, and that finals grows closer and closer.
Yeah, most definitely. That elusive win, you know? Gotta hit your shots in the end game.
He said you gotta hit your shots in the end game. That's funny. Definitely trolling them.
That peak that we saw them kind of make their way to, but one team is slowly but surely trying to sneak their way up that mountain. But it's only a duo for now. You see Mystic is separated. A little bit of distance between them and their counterpart. And he's actually
Doing 2 out of 84 players remaining.
as well. I'm not sure if that trio up above is taking notice, but this might be an opportunity for them to kind of surprise attack. Only 12 points. This could be a little risky, but depending on where they're at in Storm Surge and overall loot, it might be a must.
I mean, I respect the decision to also just kind of wait this one out. Like, look at all these teams on the move right now. Monty, Scuffies, and Cole, like, trying to talk about, they have a real chance to take a qual spot right now through consistency. A player right there. They almost get the siphon on him, but he spots him out just in the nick of time. This is what I talk about when teams like are close to qualing. I feel like they start playing different. This is like where you start slowing down. You're doing things you don't normally do, right? And all of a sudden, you might just find yourself outed. But this is a huge elimination here waiting to happen. He's got, what was it, a med kit and 3 bandages. So big heals here that they desperately need. Siphon kicks in as well. So this is all just welcome pickups here.
Kind of seeing the lobby being played right now, but so much activity early on. But CLIX, and Higgs, they find themselves at another elimination. Not too worried about their rotation. You see a lot of mobility in their inventory, but the bottom of that bunker, I talked about it early on, you do have that free rift that you can take. And where the zone's pulling south, they can easily take that rift, stay out of the zone, and just rotate all the way to the slow side of the zone. But you're seeing how they were able to get that elimination. That team thought they were trapped in there, but they were able to fight their way on out and pick up eliminations.
Yeah, this is how you do it. You know, time and time again, you see teams kind of play the bunker very passively, wait it out. But now when you got Higgs and Yamzo just ready to push out, find their tags in the process. Creon, Noisy, and Tony make their way out of the zone here. They spent a lot of time in that storm. I'm just thinking back to that Cease Storm Sickness play now. Spent the first 4 or 5 zones in there and just couldn't make the distance, so Tony's team's got to be on the timer at this point.
Yeah, or at least at the bare minimum, I hope they were proactive enough to start to really change certain aspects of their game, realizing how long they're staying in towards zone, because that would in itself take away a win condition of being able to take it to heal off if they took too much damage. And since they're already rotated over towards Demon's Domain, I hope they've kind of learned as each and every single game is passed, even though they're barely above that damage threshold, at least they're here in zone. They positioned accordingly and have a chance to look out into the distance and try to target some of those teams for damage.
Yeah, Storm Sickness is basically AKA you spend half of the total game time like in the zone. Like, that is just not feasible. The game just cancels you out. CLIX, Higgs, Yamzo on the rotate right now for Elam, so they're just right back in it like they never left here. And we talked about these mountains that, you know, they're going to start affecting this end game. And look at this move that they got to make up and over. Luckily, no teams are kind of perched over to see downwards, but it's costing them material, misformed charges, and all types of other resources now.
Taking a moment of silence right now. This is a
74 eliminations is the goal to beat.
227 points, well inside of the bubble, and a team that is not scared to go for high ground. We've already seen it a few times today. If you're one of those teams that's barely in or outside of the bubble, I would steer clear from this rotation. And that's Tony, Noisy, and Creon just towards the right, rotating in tandem, and it's going to be a far rotation, and it's going to go up a few different mountains on the way there.
A little surf cube in hand, so you can just tell that they don't have exactly the type of loadout that they would like to take into endgame, but PhD leading the charge with that surf cube, getting the most out of it. Meanwhile, quick update for Donnie here. 205 alongside Joji and Seek. No elims this time around, but plenty of damage on the board so far. One of the furthest to rotate here once again. Seems like they kind of enjoy being in the back of the pack. Team in the water trying to rotate.
Something better than nothing. They just got to be careful. That's a team that kind of like landed, stealing the southern portion of Demon's Domain's loot. Everybody's still trying to figure out where they're going to make their way up the mountain. You're seeing a very kind of even elevation change for the most part. And I think for this next couple of zones, the entire lobby's got to be crossing their fingers right here. Don't go north. Don't go north, because that will be a roller coaster of emotions. As you can see, Amzo and Higgs just pick up a few more eliminations, kind of ending runs in this group stage, forcing these teams essentially to go through the LCQ.
It's perfect, too. Right on the side of the mountain, they get much more materials essentially delivered to them now, so it's really the key position and time to kind of get these eliminations. This is tough for CLIX, Noah, and Chaos. They got to go up and over now. The zone's going to pull far west. They're already halfway through their material count, and I'm not seeing any misforms on this inventory right now, at least not for Noah here. Great usage of the dash to kind of pop his way across there, keeping the momentum up, but just all in all, look at this clean rotate. Otherwise, would have been a very difficult one to kind of time there. His team's still going crazy here.
Man, listen, does
Nice.
Ooh, Hayes follows. That's very, very unfortunate for them, because this is essentially their drop spot over here. Obviously, more times than not, you don't think it's going to go to Shogun Solitude, but if they would have just set up on this side of the map, they would kind of probably position better off than most of the teams. As Joji, Donnie, Agers, we've seen them kind of behind the pack, zone after zone, and continuously is pulling towards the west. The blessing here for most of these teams is there's not too many elevations or too many changes in this zone. But Monster, after this one, if we go west, if we go east, or even far enough north, that's where it's going to continue to get tough.
You know, it is interesting that like they can play late like that because they have misforms. You know, it kind of makes sense. Pressure comes in, we just form out, right? We get into a whole new like 50 meters across, no problem. Scuffy's Monty, Cole, tournament running the life right now. Pressures this team to the point to where they pull out the med miss there. Very nicely done. So just kind of forcing them out of that position. Look at that, pushing them off completely there. It's going to ease up all their high ground pressures. They can start looking to other teams. Meanwhile, Creon gets taken. Noisy now by himself. Oh, doesn't see where Joji's at. Their tournament's going to go in and come to an end. That's a big elimination for Donnie's team there.
See Muzz. Muzz still in there. See the last two teams, CLIX and Muzz.
Any team above them, for that matter, somehow wins, because that'll free up the spot on the leaderboard. Dash, Bryce, Skittles, that's one of those teams that we...
Or maybe even Skittles. I've seen him in game quite a bit already today. And, yeah, today.
They just need to do enough to hold on, but it's only the top 16. Only one team of placement points have set in. And now Scuffy's, Monty, and Cole. This team is 5th on the consistency leaderboard, so essentially they are setting the line that teams need to follow.
What was so nice about that wide shot, it just gave you a true visual on like how the best teams are elevated up and over those treacherous areas, and you know, look at that. They just know to be away from that low ground congestion. You just don't want to be down there. The rotate starts to come through. Somehow, though, at the front side of the rotate, Shadow, Muzz, and Sphinx have managed to find themselves still standing in this game, kind of recovered from the fallings before clashing with Team CLIX. High ground's got Rogue, Zip, and Polis right now situated up. Big commitments here through material counts as they start to kind of de-escalate their way through this zone here. But this is the Canyon Crossing. It's called that for a reason. They are way up top there.
It's just a struggle, and kind of like you said it yourself, investing so many materials. It's only the 8th zone. We haven't had too many drastic cutbacks just yet. 206 and counting, over 1,000 damage for Dash, Bryce, and Skittles. Just continue to focus every team, those audio visuals. If they see a footstep in that direction, they just kind of let it loose. But you can see Skittles, only 83 medium ammo bullets left, and they finally target out the high ground. Polis, Rogue, and Zip, they get shot down, but luckily for them, they do have the misform, so no fall damage for them. You see Higgs kind of hesitating for a moment. Is this the time? Do we take high ground, or is that zone too early?
Crazy zone right there, chat.
Back here, so it seems like they get a little bit more time to kind of recycle these materials here. That's actually perfect for them. Can't really ask for anything better than that, and that's going to force the low ground teams to force their material counts to start being used here. Meanwhile, Skittles is going to have to fend for himself here. Loses Bryce and Dash right now. The finishes come through from the other team on the other side of the wall. That is unfortunate. timing for him, but hey, little delivery for him there. He's trying to get that med miss. Needs to get the miss form as well. The pressure's starting to come through. Look at this. CLIX, TKHDGAMES are now positioned up over some other teams here. Looking for their next refresher. There it is. Nice pickup. Insta miss form as well.
Almost overhops that one, but only drops down, gets the loot. You see immediately dropping down those builds for Yamto as Donnie, Seek, they're kind of stuck as a duo. He reached the other side of the zone, but as soon as he does, it forces a cutback on the other side. One more miss charge that he's going to have to use, but Seek separated from his team. They're essentially playing this one as two separate solos, waiting for that moment. They can't reunite box to box, but picks Yamto and Higgs. That's Muzz, that's Shadow on the other side. They do not have any spots secured. They have to go ahead and get some more points. Top 14, barely any placement so far in this game.
Look at that. Higgs, Yamto, CLIX land on another team. Looking to Madness at the front side. And it's PH, Zen, Phaser, King, Monty's team in there as well. Let's not forget Monty and them needed just a couple more points. Well, they're going to have to clutch this one out here. Skittles, Bryce, Dash now 215 points. So it's all about consistency for these guys down at the bottom here. They need these.
All right, chat. This is it right here. This is where she writes the ending. 23 players remaining, 12 teams. Dude, so wild in game.
Cole was able to find a couple more eliminations. Cosner's there on the other side. You're seeing Skittles hesitate for good reason. Zone's cutting on over. He doesn't want to end up in a fight at the backside of the zone overall. Zip still on ultimate high ground. He is in the clouds waiting for his team to give him the A-OK. Skittles going up, sees how far away high ground actually is, and with no builds to get up there. At the last miss forward charge used, it's almost all or nothing here for Skittles as he's bouncing around. He still does have that medallion, shouting a little bit of his location.
Yeah, he's just trying to stay, out of sight, out of mind, basically, as he hops around here. And that is the game plan at the moment. Just keep moving, no builds. Finds himself a little position. No, it's Cole's trio. There it is. So I was wondering how many of them were still alive. There's still two left on that team trying to.
You got. Oh, Muzz is down. By Higgs.
By the hands of Higgs now. Shadow goes and picks him up. Higgs tries to play a side angle. Breaks into the vault. Dashes behind.
Oh no! Come on, Yamto. Stay alive, Yamto.
Meanwhile, Donnie and Seek listening to it all go down. Yamto finally falls now. It was just a matter of
Oh no! CLIX, Yamto, and Higgs didn't even win a matchup, chat. No.
To the win though for these other teams that want to go straight to finals. This is all or nothing for Polis.
Yeah, it potentially is. The other two's got their spot secured just for staying alive long enough. Scuffy's and them started this game on the line.
6 players remaining, 3 teams.
So we're essentially watching Zip. We're essentially watching Rogue.
Oh, 2 teams. Oh, GG's.
He spoils it all. He takes them down.
Donnie, Rebels, and I didn't get to see the last name. And Joji. GG's.
Donnie does it again. He most definitely has manipulated fate. They had a lot of points. They were qualified to finals. Whether they won that game or not, the fact that they win means they open up a position, but they pull that other spot away from Polis's trio, whom, by the way, surely did not have enough. Jacob.
All right, what's the final score?
A better end game for someone here who's gonna get the 5th overall most consistent spot.
Normally, I say I'm good at math, Monster. Normally, I say I'm probably one of the best. I carry the 1, I multiplied the 2, but this one was so close, and it got even closer by the fact that they won, which opened up a spot at the bottom. Donnie went up, he went over, just spoiled and squandered any chance that Zip had to continue that high ground and run away for the heel off end. But congratulations, Seek, Joji, and Donnie yet again. Honestly, Monster, at this point, with how well they've been playing, I'm not sure it would have been a finals without them.
Yeah, listen, we need to see this team up there. They played very well, and it just shows you that competitors are going to compete. They want that win whether they know they're taking it or not. What a fun game from us and them there. Well, listen, Group 2's wraps from Monster, Jacob here. We're calling it. We're going to shoot it on over to Zeke. Bring us on home.
Thank you so much, MDF and Jacob. Great games today, and the next time we'll be seeing them is tomorrow for group number 3 as well. Donnie, Joji, Seek get themselves the victory royale. We saw Donnie come close a couple times, right? They kind of had those top 5 moments time and time again, but finally they lock up the victory royale. They go ahead and say, Zeke, we'll be seeing you in the grand finals.
Yeah, to get 2 second places during the group stages. You know, I know everyone says that the group stages aren't like real set lobbies, but that's still pretty impressive. And then to round things off with a victory royale, that's what I love to see. Big shout outs, of course, to this trio right here. And honestly, Donnie, Joji, Seek, like we said earlier, that this is a trio, all of them individually. We have heard these names time and time again, and this might finally be the trio where we see them kind of climb up the leaderboard and break into our top 10, top 5. And obviously that's where they want to be, Vivid, because that's where the global championships tickets are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously today's all about, you know, the victory royales, and then we got the consistency leaderboard. Of course, you're going to find yourself on that consistency leaderboard if you are finding consistent. And what's more consistent than feeling like it's like deja vu? Every single one of these end games has Donnie alive trying to clutch it up in some sort of 1v2, 1v3, 1v something. It just felt like it was on repeat today. And what better way to kind of end the day out with him finally kind of making it happen right there. And yeah, like Jacob mentioned right there, somebody might have been gifted a grand finals appearance on a silver platter, depending on how that leaderboard shakes up.
We'll get there in a second. First, let's relive those victory royales, right? Who got them on the day? As we remind ourselves, here's a nice little graphic. Maybe you're tuning in, maybe you just got off work or something. You just watching, you stopping by.
Two of the teams I was expecting to get a win didn't even get a win, chat. That's crazy.
Started with visuals, braids, and a minish. Getting that VR in game.
Visuals and Rapid Canada and Bolts are the only ones that I really knew.
But there's also
But hey,
the next question then, friends.
cool.
Who made it in?
Yep.
Of course, we have
CLIX.
5 trios who made it in through consistency, which just means after those 5 yars, whoever you end up in the top 5 will also go through to the grand finals. We have a list to take a look at here. Now, this won't tell the full story because this is just going to show us the top 5 teams.
Of course, CLIX.
I
I knew that they was going to make it.
The story
And Muse.
continues.
Ooh, Muse didn't make it in this? Wow.
Kelly, 100 points ahead of Phaser, King, and of course PH Zin. Really had a showing today. I guess my question is, can we continue this, right? Can we bring this kind of ferocity into the grand finals where things are going to be pretty different?
100%. Iamzo, Higgs, and CLIX have proved themselves time and time again through set lobbies, through scrims, that they can easily bring this kind of action into the grand finals. And honestly, you look at like their scores, it's not just making it top 10 in every single one of the games that we saw today, but also their ability to grab 14, 10, 16 eliminations. You know, I feel like we saw a little bit of this from Acorn, Agers, and Poyo in week 1. And, you know, I don't hate replays. I'm a big fan of having, you know, these repetitive play styles like what we see from CLIX, Higgs, and Iamzo. But are they going to be able to, now with this domination, carry that into the grand finals?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think they're going to have any trouble kind of doing that. I mean, they look like they're just playing so well right now. Obviously, we've seen them play in finals throughout the year. Every single time they look very, very good. They've been placing super, super well. The only thing that's really left for them to do this year is to actually win it. So it's exciting to see them perform very, very well today. And, of course, clutch up, get that grand finals qualification. Nobody really had a doubt.
That's right. That's right. Also, of course, King, PH, Zin. We love to see them kind of come out. And in that top 5, right? Phaser alongside all of them. Just a fantastic showing from them. Let's bring up those standing, though. So I did hint at a story here.
All right, so 163 points per 10.
Essentially the top 5, we know that cutoff is 163 points. If we flip on over to that second page, 2 things to shock. First,
Noah Plays is out by 2 points. Oh my word. But Noah Plays, that's crazy. But he still got a chance to get in.
But the consistency really shown through in their performance, almost making it out, but that's okay. Run's not done. We still have LCQ.
Yep.
Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx, though, in that 12th place, unfortunately did not make it in. We did see they only had the 4 of 5 games played. Had they gotten that additional game in, I think things could have been different for sure. But of course, for them, it's the same story, right? They still have the last chance qualifier. It's not over. This is Muzz we're talking about, right? If we have to take it to an LCQ, I feel confident enough to say they'll likely earn themselves a spot, right? I mean, this is Muzz. This is Muzz.
Right?
I don't want to be biased, but there was a moment there where CLIX's trio jumped in on Muzz and his duo mate, and I was like, no, please. But, again, I can't be biased on the broadcast. That wouldn't be right. I think last chance qualifier is just rough, man. And it's Muzz. It's, you think that they would automatically get it in.
But still, Noah plays it off by 2. That's crazy.
Clutch up for that, but I tell you what, Jacob's kind of wish came true right there. We saw Scare, Cause, and Magma in 10th place. Now, if Donnie did not end up winning that game, and the win did go to Zip, who was sitting in 15th place, then that qualification spot would not have rolled down to them. So sure enough, one team did qualify because that did end up happening. So pretty cool to see them kind of clutch up and make it into that 10th place spot as well, and clutch that grand finals qualification.
Oh man, we are so close, right? Next weekend, it is going to be so much fun. But of course, I think that's pretty much it for today. We only have tomorrow to come back to watch group number 3 for not only us, but EU as well. And then we're going to have a really good picture of grand finals next weekend. And then next weekend, we will know who is going to be rounding out our trios going to the global championship. Time is flying. Yeah, guys, before we say goodbye, why don't we guys have closing thoughts from you two?
I am so excited for tomorrow. I am so excited to see what happens. Group 1 and Group 2 have not disappointed yet. And I know that Group 3, some people might be saying...
Tomorrow is Peterbot.
...groups for North American Central, but for me personally, I think it's going to be one of the more fun ones.
Yeah, a sleeper with Peterbot in it, and we can never count him out. He will always put on a show and entertain us for sure. But I'm most excited for next weekend, honestly, grand finals. After Groups 1 and Group 2, I'm excited to get all of these teams in the same lobby and see how all those play styles kind of clash. Who's going to be going for high ground then? Who's going to be claiming the lower ground? It's going to be exciting.
And of course, like you said, Vivid, when we're in grand finals, you're not only making a statement to your region, you're making a statement to the others, right? Hey, this is my POI. If you want to fight, let's go, so we'll see. That's it from us today, though, at least until tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow, Group 3, same time, same great place. Make sure you're here, mark your calendars, set your timers, all that stuff. And of course, EU is before us. If you will like what you're seeing, watch them as well. They got their own crew, they got their own trios to play for. But until tomorrow,
we're right here.
Safe. See you on that battle bus.
All right, chat. I hope that y'all enjoyed the streams today. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST, we'll be right back here at it with the EU's Group 3 of the Major 3s. So y'all don't want to miss it. We'll be here for that. And then back at it at 5 p.m. EST for Peterbot's trio to go up in the Group 3 of NA Central. Other than that, I hope y'all have a great day, great evening. God bless each and every single one of y'all. And we'll catch y'all all in the next one. God bless.